Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Kick back Butler. Meyer tracks it down. Meyer hoists and hits.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
The inbounds pass to be thrown by Jamie Sykes. Carter pressuring. It's to Jenkins. The Drew for the win. Gone! He did it! Bryce Drew did it! Valpo has won the game! A miracle!
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. It is a home run. 3-0. Come. $300 donated by True Value Hardware. There's a kid across the street with the souvenir. True Value donates $300 to Cubs Care in the fight against cancer. What a blow. The back row of the left field stands right onto the street.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This 3 o'clock hour on Wednesday, May 20th. Couple of different notes that affect sports. The NBA, they're on the move. College athletics on the move. And we'll get into that a little bit, plus a little background on the Ole Miss and Baylor game, Labor Day weekend. Just a couple of things to think about when it comes to that game being moved back to Sunday, all by itself on Sunday evening on ESPN during Labor Day weekend. Craig Smoke, the first thing you have with a couple of comments about college athletics.
This is from Pete Thamel. He says, according to sources, the NCAA's Division I Council has voted to approve voluntary athletic activities in football, men's basketball, and women's basketball to start on June 1st and go through June the 3rd. There had been a moratorium on activities through the end of this month. We've got another 11 days to go in the month of May. So beginning on June the 1st, football, men's basketball, women's basketball, they can have voluntary, keyword voluntary, athletic activities, and the other sports will be decided upon at a later date. So that's pretty big news today and a big chapter in the return to, some sense of normalcy in sports, that we're getting some of these college athletes back on campuses to work out.
And the NBA, they're going ahead too, full throttle, right? They're just kind of they're starting to kind of get things together as well. So that's just combined with what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean the NBA's been talking for a while now about wanting to get their season back underway. They've still been discussing where to do it, how to do it, that type of a thing. Apparently, Orlando has become kind of a front runner of sorts to host the postseason that they would hold, but there's also been talk that I've seen about, having like the Eastern Conference, for example, play in Orlando, and you'd have the Western Conference playing in like Phoenix or something, doing it split up that way. But Orlando seems to be where they might all congregate for a postseason. I even heard talk of, inviting all of the players and their families because, a lot of the talk was you'd have to separate them from families and they couldn't be together. Well, if you just put everybody in Disney World together and had them all just play at the Wild World of Sports or, whatever venues they have there, then you could do that and still have your families around your players. So there's a lot of possibilities, but yes, there is definitely momentum growing now for college athletics. That's big news today, and the NBA as well.
Cowboys pass rusher Aldon Smith reinstated by Commissioner Goodell, met via teleconference or video conference on Thursday. Numerous reporting that he has not played since 2015, but now he's been reinstated by Goodell.
Well, that's really good news for the Cowboys. That means that they don't have to, at least in the short term, go out and sign another defensive end, because that was kind of the thing that was hanging out there for them, was out in kind of the wilderness here of Aldon Smith and what's going to happen with him. And, if he gets reinstated, great. When does that happen? So do you have to go sign someone like, say, an Everson Griffin, who's a veteran free agent who was with the Vikings last year? Do you have to bring him in so you have a warm body? Or Are you comfortable with Tyrone Crawford starting the season, even though last year he was hurt for the whole year with injuries in both hips? So here you got Aldon Smith coming back, and he's played in Jim Tomsula and Mike Nolan's defense before. We'll see how it happens, though. Aldon Smith has never had a very long run anywhere he's been.
Yeah, all right. He will be, under certain conditions. That's the thing, is one slip up of, a certain variety, and he's right back out of the league. So he's going to be a guy that you're sort of walking on eggshells with a little bit, just because you know that he doesn't have the full 3 strikes to play around with, but this does allow him to at least take part in those virtual Zoom meetings that they'll be having.
We will have today, Baylor announced their newest class of the Baylor Athletics Hall of Fame. 2 of them, former offensive lineman Jason Smith, long time ago, defensive end linebacker Andrew Mellentry. We'll hear from Jason King from SicEm365.com, Hall of Famer Andre Dawson, college basketball Hall of Famer Homer Drew, in this the tournament that's being put together with former Baylor players and other teams as well. And John Machota today on the Aldon Smith news from theathletic.com. He'll join us today at 5. Now, the Ole Miss Baylor game, something that I didn't bring up yesterday, and I felt kind of silly when I thought about it, is if the game, in fact, moved back to Sunday. Mm-hmm. Have you guys looked at Baylor's second game?
Kansas.
Yeah. Now, I understand how people may look at this, but that gives you one less day, no matter who it is. Les Miles in year 2. You have your own new coaching staff. Mm-hmm. Lots of players gone. Mm-hmm. That gives you one less day to prepare for your Big 12 opener. And right now, we don't know who the hell Baylor is.
No, I mean, that is a factor. And do you do it? I wonder if you say we do this for television, but then there's other circumstances. Is television the king of all? I mean, it seems to be.
Be the only game on. I do know this for sure. I've been told that's the only game that will be on television that night. It is by itself.
Yeah. It's appealing to have that spotlight. I think if you're Baylor and you feel good about your chances in that game, and I'll tell you right now, had Matt Rule not left, I'm picking them without even a question in my mind. I'm picking them to beat Ole Miss if Matt Rule's here. Since he's not here, I do have a lot more question marks. I know Ole Miss, too, will have some Baylor ties with Lebby and Clements now on staff, and they'll be running that type of an offense. And, they've got a good young quarterback who can really move. So they're a very talented team. I would have been very confident with Rule in place, but all of these question marks do have me a little bit more leery. But you're right about Kansas. When we did our little Q&A, what was that, like a month ago, when we first started doing these Q&As with Jason, he asked the question about, I think it was something along the lines of what game worries you the most or something like that. And I said Kansas in week number 2 just because we don't know this staff yet. We don't know what the team's going to look like, and that's awfully early when a team like Kansas isn't beaten down yet. They're not like looking at the end of the season or, hey, we need to win one more to win a bowl game. They're in week 2, so they're plenty confident. They're going to be ready to go, ready to get that big win right out of the gate. So, yeah, that's a dangerous first couple of weeks for Dave Aranda starting off.
Well, so that's that. So the NBA, the college football, the athletics part, college athletics, and kind of being able to get things going again, that's huge. Everyone knew that eventually that was going to happen, but we'll see exactly how this all works out. And the players inducted into Baylor's Hall of Fame, and then I have a conditioning point that I need to make. Let's see. Jason Smith, obviously Andrew Mellentry, Brad Gable. Also, 6 different sports are represented, including softball, men's and women's tennis, track and field with Todd Cooper, Brett Reagan in softball, and then 3 players in volleyball is also included, and then Gable, Jason Smith, and Andrew Mellentry. Let's see when they'll have the not sure when they have the banquet. It's probably usually during homecoming week, isn't it, Paul? Is that right?
Yeah.
They usually do?
Yep.
And that right now, even if they had a date, we don't know. Now, Bobby Stroop, who works at APEC in both Tyler and Arlington, we've told you about him. He's also been on the show, worked out with a lot of players out of that played at Baylor and others. He put this up last night. Actually, early this morning. An observation on athletes after reopening this week. They are dangerously out of shape. Usually about 1,500 athletes a summer. We have about 4 that faint. Today, we had 7 and 2 passed out in what is a mobility circuit. It was not hard work or even advanced work. Coaches, be ready.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I mean, the thing is you can't you can have them on the Zoom and you can say, okay, do this, do that, or, oh yeah, coach, I went on to this today, but did you do it every day like you normally would? Did you do it? I mean, things change really fast when it comes to conditioning.
Well, did they run, the 2 or 3 extra gassers that the coach pushes you through, or did they just stop when they got too tired? I would imagine most probably just stopped. Did they get pushed that little extra when they feel like they're on empty that those coaches are able to bring out of you and that you really can't say no to? No, they're probably not testing themselves individually that way. So, when you're home quarantined, you can run around the backyard and do sprints all day, but unless you got a big old yard, then it's just not the same as running up and down the football field, And so going in one-on-ones versus receivers if you're a corner or whatever position you play, it's not the same as covering your little brother or your friend, right? So it's no surprise that these players might be a little bit more out of shape than normal. I think it's just clearly a product of the times we're living in right now. And so, yeah, I think that's a good little warning for coaches out there. And for those who may be thinking we're going to get going 100% on day one, realize as well it's starting to get hot outside too. So there's that extra element, and they're going to have to be careful with that.
Also, a high school football note. Tyler Webb, who was, remember, a record-setting quarterback at Bosqueville High School and a basketball player, then transferred to Midway a year ago, played for the Midway football and basketball team. The quarterback, he was a backup quarterback to Jared Moore. It actually was in a rotation. Preston Rex was a part of that as well. I have learned and confirmed that Tyler Webb will transfer to Connolly High School from Midway. So Tyler Webb, the senior-to-be quarterback, will in fact enroll and transfer and then enroll and be a part of Connolly ISD this fall. He is finishing out his spring semester at Midway High School.
You going to go get on the Twitter machine right now so we can retweet that real quick, or is that already out there?
I just put it out there.
Okay, well, so that's out there, and that's interesting because, Tyler Webb came to Midway. He got a couple shots here and there. Made a couple plays that were mistakes. The loss they had, the interception in the front of the end zone to Harker Heights, that was just a bad throw. But, he's got size, he's got a big arm, but there's some other things that he's missing from his game. And so maybe Shane Anderson will bring that out of him. But why that's even more interesting is not only does that kind of clear up the Jared Moore, Tyler Webb quarterback competition at Midway, so it looks like Jared Moore will be the guy, and he might have been already. He was pretty much already, but for Connolly, they've got Kavion Gaither, who is a heck of a player at quarterback. So that's another weapon for them to use and get creative with, and I'm sure that'll open up Gaither even more with all that he can do.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Now, Tyler needed some work in that Midway offense, and he came late. Hopefully, whatever Connolly runs, which, again, I haven't seen much of other than quick highlights over the years, will be an easier transition for him. I mean, he's a senior now, so – oh, he's a junior, isn't he?
He's a junior now.
Yeah.
He will be, a senior. Yeah.
He's going to be a senior this year.
Yes, okay. Yes. I'm going to, hold on just a second. Yeah, so that's the case. He is moving into he'll move into the Connolly School District and will be enrolling at Connolly High School and will be eligible to play football and athletics as early as this.
Wow.
All right? That's that. All right?
Well, that's an interesting high school football note for sure. I'm just kind of sitting here thinking about it a little bit and how that's going to have an effect. It won't have some massive widespread effect, but it does change Connolly a little bit, and that's one less quarterback that's in play for Jeff Hume and the Midway Panthers as well.
All right, when we come back, Jason Smith, Baylor Hall of Fame, next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Alan Samuels presents the return of 0%. It's back. 0% for 72 and no payments for up to 120 days. Choose your car, truck, or SUV and get 0% financing with no payments for 120 days through Chrysler Capital. New Rams, new Jeeps, and new Dodge SUVs and minivans. Shop safely at our dealership. Shop and buy online, and we deliver test drives to you. Your friend in the car business. Alan Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas. Our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. In today's world, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less, sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. We even offer financing. Everything's included in the price, and more importantly, you'll not get a bill in the mail later on. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule an appointment safely from home, online in minutes at idealmri.com, or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe, and together we'll get through this at idealmri.com.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Welcome back in to Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and David Smoke here in the Petty Low T Studios, which will have many locations by the time we're all said and done.
Well, it sounds great. We gotten comfortable here, and then eventually, of course, we'll have another one at some point. And as you mentioned, to be on the road in many different ways. We're now joined by former Baylor All-American offensive lineman and now a part of the Baylor Athletics Hall of Fame class of 2020, Jason Smith. He's all bungled up, we're all ready to go in Fairfield, Texas, just kind of watching how this country is right now, staying safe. What does the announcement mean to you about the Hall of Fame?
Hey, guys. How you doing? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
It's it was when Mr. Abercrombie, Walter Abercrombie, texted to me this morning. I mean, it was a sense of, I would say, like humbleness and reality, kind of. I guess we used to walk back and forth to the practice field. You look up at the, on the old floor at Casey Stadium, it had a bunch of names and Hall of Famers. Their names was up there, and one of them was Jay Smith. I don't remember the guy's name, but there was a Jay Smith that was up there, and I always said, hey, I'm going to have my name up there one day in the All-American Huddle in the Hall of Fame field. And just to kind of, see it come true, it's a blessing. It's humbling.
You were part of the transition from Guy Morris to Art Briles, and that kind of kicked it off. What was that like? And did you take on the burden of being one of the leaders when the coaching change happened?
Excuse me. If you ask Art Briles, he'd tell you that when that happened, when Guy Morris let us know that he wasn't no longer the head coach. I felt that I was going to leave as a junior and go to the NFL and just leave early. And I was already kind of done with my classes. I hadn't graduated yet, but I was going to plan it out. I was working with the compliance department at Baylor to do this kind of quietly. And Art Browse came in, and he had a meeting with the team. And after the meeting, he called me and said, "Hey, I'm Coach Browse. I want to talk to you about this decision you're fixing to make to go to the NFL." I kind of made my mind up. I was leaving. I really didn't want to do with the new coaches. And but he kept persistently talking to me, him, Coach Clemens, and Coach Norwood, and just telling me what they were going to do. And he told me how he needed me. I guess everybody wants to feel needed. And I guess I was probably 20, 21 years old, 22, somewhere in there, right before my senior season. And we just was able to come to an agreement that I should stay and play my senior year at Baylor. And, you know, Coach Kaz at the time was our new strength coach. And we just took off. I just put everything behind me of what the past was and focused on the future with Coach Browse and the program and the offensive line. And yes, I did. I took on that burden as a leader, and I felt responsible for, you know, laying the foundation for the program. Robert Griffin had just got there. I felt responsible for him as a big brother on and off the field. And I did. I took it real personal. Obviously, when my last game was played against Texas Tech, I didn't want to leave. They'll tell you in the locker room how I was just crying and boo-hooing because I had to leave and actually go to the NFL. Ironic is that most guys are ready to leave, but I didn't want to leave because I saw what our Browns was fixing to do and the Baylor program was fixing to do. And I'm thankful that I was entrusted with that much attention at the time. It was they gave me a lot of attention, and I just, took advantage of it, I would say, and really, really tried to promote Baylor football. Really, really tried to. I tried to do my best and make sure that I was representative, and I thank God for the opportunity.
Hey, Jason, when we hear about, Kaz during his time here, we hear so often, just glowing things, how important he was to players' lives, things like that. They've had some good strength guys since then, Jeremy Scott the last 3 years, and they've got a good one in Corey Campbell now as well. But can you try to take us into the players' minds of what it was like being around Kaz and just what kind of an influence he had on you guys?
When the first time I met Coach Kaz, it was a recruiting trip where our Browse was hosting some players. I don't remember the players. I was one of the people they were recruiting at the time still, because they invited me to dinner with them. Coach Kaz came in because he wanted me to meet the new strength coach, and I ordered a chicken fried steak, macaroni and cheese, and either like green beans or fried okra, something like that, just some old country meal. And Coach Kaz orders a steak, I believe it was a ribeye or either filet. He orders green beans, he orders a salad, and maybe mixed vegetables. And he says to me, "Are you going to work out tomorrow?" And I say, "Yes, sir." He's okay. "Well, tomorrow when you get tired, I'll still have gas." I said, "You must not know me." I was kind of cocky. I was a little cocky at the time.
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, you can't." He said, "I'm a Maserati and you're a truck." I said, "Yeah, I know." So he says, "The problem is a Maserati is a real athlete. The truck is just can run in mud." It's something like that, right? I said, "What you mean?" He said, "Look at what you put in your body. You're not putting good food in your body." And I'm like, "Man, who do you think you're talking to?" I was kind of like, "You don't know me." But so I talked to him the next day. He said it's all about nutrition. He said all the problems this program has had, I've heard about them. I'm sick and tired of hearing about them. He said because it's a lack of nutrition. He said if you stay, he told me, if you stay, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that you're nutritionally sound. I'm not going to let you just put anything in your body no more. I said, I said, okay, well, he said, for example, he said, you should have been eating a steak last night. It was free. They were paying for it, but you ordered a chicken fried steak. He said, you got to know these kind of things. You got to know what to eat in order to be a top athlete. He said, I was for the Chiefs. I know what a pro looks like. I know how they are. So that's kind of how our relationship started. But from there, our first training session with Coach Kaz, you'd be surprised how much of our football team could not put their foot behind the line. And that just showed how undisciplined we were as a team. We can't even line up properly. I mean, I'm talking, it was just days and days of teaching us just how to put our foot on the line, crowd the line of scrimmage, but not be offsides, behind the line or on the line. And he just demanded such greatness from you, and he was so consistent. That was the key. He was consistent every day. Every day you saw him, he was talking about how we're going to be better as a person and a team, not just a football team. And him, at the time, it was just him, Coach Davis, and Coach Roof. And eventually Coach Weeks came. And we were at Fort Casey. We weren't at that fancy new facility they had. And they took time and repainted everything and scuffed the floor and shined it and made it just as nice as could be and just demanded we work. And they were consistent. And I remember the one day, it was during the season, I think it was after the Iowa State game, and me and J.D. Walden, we all tried to pull the senior card like we're just hurt. We were hurt. We were hurting. We played so hard that we're hurt. And we asked him to adjust our weight on the squat. I will forever remember this. He takes my paper and says, "Oh, yeah, I'll adjust it." He drew a circle around and said, "Hey, here's your weight." He handed it right back to me. He could adjust it, man. Get out of my place. Go lift the weight. But, I mean, that's just who he was. He was a consistent person that wasn't going to – he wasn't going to accept failure. And that's who he was, and he made the culture become that. And I thank God for him being in my life during the time he was. Even after, when I was in the pros, they would always send me a care package just to let me know they were thinking about me and send me a T-shirt and, the little things. Send me some socks. Send me, those little, they're not candy, but they're like healthy candy. Yeah. So they always thought about me. That was the main thing. It's just, when you get off in the NFL, you by yourself, you don't really know anybody, you're trying to become something, you just kind of need to know that the people that you really put your life on the line for still thinking about you.
What a great story. I mean, seriously, I'm surprised you didn't have your nickname wasn't Chicken Fried Steak. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
So you're now you're on a ranch, right, in Fairfield? Is that where you live?
Yes, sir. My wife and I and our children live on a ranch. Yes, sir.
So has that been, like, because of the space you have, has that made it a little bit easier during this time when, some people are being more active than others? Have you just been able to kind of just be there and enjoy what you have?
Before quarantine actually hit and the coronavirus, I honestly, I kind of live off, I call it my little island, actually. We work the ranch and we have a little small business that my wife and I run together, and we go to church on Sundays and Wednesdays. But besides that, we weren't really spending too much time. I already live quarantine because when you're a football player, you wash your hands after everything you touch. Stay away from people that look sick, and keep yourself healthy by what you're eating and your sleep. So I kind of already lived like that. And so when quarantine kind of happened, I didn't really comprehend what was taking place until, I'm going to say, our pastor talked about it to us one day. And then I comprehended that I needed to stay home. My wife was already kind of saying it, but you're not far that goes sometimes when your wife will tell you, "Hey, we need to stay home." You're like, yeah, okay, I need to go to town real quick and get, But, we just, now we're doing more things in our hands. I would say we're cutting grass, by hand. Got to push lawnmower, step around lawnmower, pressure washing stuff around the house. You kind of start seeing what's dirty when you're sitting around looking at it. You think it's clean, but then you start, get your paintbrush out, start painting stuff.
Yep.
Kind of that, like, honey-do list all of a sudden.
Jason, I've, spent more time in my house now in the 3 years since I bought it, and I can just tell you that I've done little reorganization projects just because I've noticed. Like, it just was,
right.
You're in and out in your life, and you're like, well, I'm here. I don't like those books over there. I'm going to move them all around the house. That was one of my Saturdays.
Right. I started moving chairs around. But, it's like the back porch had a chair that was kind of misplaced. I was, wondering why I wouldn't fit in it because it was out of order. There's just a lot of little stuff that you start noticing. We built a shoe rack for my wife, right before, just little stuff like that. She wanted this fancy shoe rack when you walk in the back door. So we got together and built it out of wood, and it's all kind of stuff.
Very cool.
But also now I got bucket. So I got construction stuff laying around everywhere too, though.
Yeah.
We're from one problem to another.
Yeah, just kind of shuffling it to one thing. Hey, Jason, you had such a great career at Baylor. Obviously, that's why you're getting the Hall of Fame, accolade, and it's very deserving. But for you, looking back, just how whirlwind of a stretch of like a handful of years was that for you? Just going from where you were in high school to, you get the Baylor offer, you commit, all of a sudden you're an All-American, you're zooming along under brows, and here you are, and you're the talk of the NFL draft. Just as a human being, how crazy was that stretch of 4 or 5 years for you?
I was I tell the story that my first semester there, I was inner city Dallas. You kind of poor, and you go to college. A lot of people don't know. I don't get into politics of NCAA and blah blah blah, what they should pay kids or all that kind of stuff. I don't really get into that. But you have a full scholarship, and you go to college, and you get there, and you don't have sheets. So you get, they drop you off at training camp at the time. Got more, they take your phone, and say, here's your room. Meetings are at 8 o'clock. And, you got a training camp, but then school starts, and you're not really prepared. That's the thing. You don't really understand that the first day of class, these notes that we're taking are for a test that's in, 3 weeks. And after, I guess, the first round of tests, and I failed them all, I'm taking notes and writing down, but you're fresh in college, and the pretty girls, you're not focused. You got pretty girls all around you in football, and you just think, I just failed. I was like failing. I'm like, I went and sat down with Valerie Lott, which was our academic advisor, who was, I thought she was cute. She was a cutie. That's why I went and talked to her. I'm like, hey, Valerie, I already talked to you about something. She's like, yeah. I'm like, what the heck? I beat you in your office. I just want to quit. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I just want to quit. I'm out of here. Why? And I said, this is not for me. Nobody, I don't think the coaches even knew about this, honestly. She said, what's the problem? What's not for you? You're doing great in football. Everybody's excited about it. I said, yeah, but this class thing is not for me. I just failed every test. I'm not cut out for college. And she says, oh, whatever. Look, everybody's probably failed. If I just start pulling out people's grades, you see how everybody failed. She said, listen, here's what I want you to do. Take a piece of paper, let's fold it, go in your bag, pull out a piece of paper. She looked at how I wrote my notes. She said, look, we're going to write it, we'll fold them sideways. And I want you to start writing down every point that the teacher talks about, and to the right side of the page, on the left side of the page, write down what they say. On the right side of the page, write down what they're saying. And every day you come here to my office and see me. What time you got class? Well, I got, got class at 12:30. Okay, perfect. Come to me at 12:30. I'll work with you till about 1 o'clock, 1:30. I'll let the coaches know that you're going to be a little late getting to practice, and we'll go from there, okay? I said, yes, ma'am, okay. So the next day I did it, and I did this for a long time until she felt I was comfortable, and I felt I was comfortable to stop seeing her every day. But a lot of people didn't know that. My first semester there, I'm ready to quit. I'm like, forget this. This is not for me. And, you just go on with people that you look up to and you're spending time with that don't, they're either not in Waco or they live around Waco, and you start, talking to people, and you remember running the hill and working harder than everybody. And I just started doing that, to God be the glory. And eventually, honestly, when Coach Kaz got there, the hardest problem he had with me was getting me to learn to recover, go home and rest. Because I always felt like somebody was faster or bigger than me or going to beat me there to the NFL, and I never get there. I just didn't want to go back to Dallas, long story short. And, they told me how to sit down and watch TV, honestly, pick a movie, okay, go home and watch it again, and sit on the floor and rest or stretch while you're laying there, foam roll, don't lift any weights, don't do no push-ups, just rest, let your body recover. So I got to, time to be in the draft and things like that. It was a surreal moment. It was I would say a dream come true, but I felt like I was walking in a dream the whole time. It didn't seem like reality. From the time my last game was playing Texas Tech and going off to train for the combine and then coming back for pro day and then the NFL draft, meeting all the new people, the people you played against. You talk noise, pick a fight with them in the game. People you hated your whole college career, like OU, or all of a sudden now you're meeting these guys and you find out they're just another guy like you. They look up to you. Actually, they watch to you. They actually tell you, hey man, I used to watch your film and study you to know how to play a guy. You're like, man, seriously, I used to watch you. Just when you kind of just stepping into a new era, and then you go to an NFL team. It all starts in New York, and there's parties. You meet all these NFL guys and all these beautiful women that are trying to meet you and want to get your number and all kind of blah blah blah. You just kind of it's a different world. It's a different world. It's something that nobody can really prepare you for. It just happens, and when it happens, you just have to make sure that you remember those principles that were instilled in you at 6 a.m. when you're with Coach Kaz or Coach Browse or Coach Morris during the time, Coach Big John. Those private conversations you had where they were spending their time molding you as a man. And obviously a lot of those men were godly men, so they were always talking to you about the principles of God. During that time, I wasn't saved. I wasn't living a life confessing Jesus Christ, but I was hearing, about him throughout the years, and I eventually received him as my Lord and Savior, and decided to walk a saved life. But all that stuff has to come into play now when you get drafted and go into the NFL. So it's just a lot of little stuff like that. Nobody's holding your hand no more, I would say.
Jason,
so it's kind of long and drawn out, but there it all is.
No, it's
good stuff, man.
Glad we had you on. First of all, congratulations on what you've done, the commitment you've made, also being a part of the Hall of Fame. That was, man, it was great to hear you. It's great to have you on. We appreciate you. Let's stay in touch, and we'll see you at the ceremony when that happens. And then stay safe, and God bless you sharing what you do. Appreciate you.
God bless you guys, and thank you guys for the opportunity as well.
Man, well, that was yes.
Hey, sick 'em Bears.
Yes, sir.
There you go. That's
Jason Smith, former Baylor All-American offensive lineman, part of that class. Walter Abercrombie and Baylor announced that, released that earlier today via email, and also Jerry Hill had a story on it from the Jerry Hill Baylor Bear Insider. We're going to have Andrew Mellentry here in a moment. He also is a part of that class of 2020. First time that I believe the first time I ever ran into Andrew Mellentry was he was a sophomore at Tyler Junior College when I was a freshman in the fall of what would have been 1977. Played football there. Great player, real personable guy. Ended up going to Baylor, played with the Cincinnati Bengals in the NFL. The Mellentry family, very well known in Tyler. And he was Lester Mellentry. Their father was a big, strapping, strong man. Served, I don't know if it was on the commissioner's court or somewhere in the local government at Tyler as well. But Andrew Mellentry will join us in just a moment, and you are going to be blown away by his personality as well. Jason Smith went deep.
Yeah, he did. He, really did not hold back whatsoever, and I think he enjoyed that conversation. Yeah, I think he enjoyed chopping it up with us a bit. We certainly enjoyed hearing from him, and yeah, I liked that, he didn't go the route that some athletes may take from time to time where you get kind of the one-sentence response back. And, sometimes that's just your line of question. You need to ask better questions. So, I don't know how good the questions were, but the answers were fantastic. It was great to hear from Jason.
So, Jason Smith, he's a part of the class of 2020 Baylor Athletics Hall of Fame, and so is Andrew Mellentry, who now lives in Lawton, Oklahoma, someone I knew when he was a football player at Tyler Junior College before he went on to play and star at Baylor, headed in the NFL as well, now living and working in Lawton, Oklahoma. And so I called Andrew earlier today, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, David Smoke. So I called you earlier today. What were you doing when I called you? Do you remember? You had just been told what was going on.
I was walking around in the front yard like I was late on paying my taxes or something. I'm still rubbing my head.
Yeah. What does this mean to you, Andrew?
I'll tell you what it means to me. Many times I said, man, why, when? I came out of the Earl Campbell brood. All those guys in the Hall of Fame, great class of guys. I said, well, maybe I'm not there. And when I got that call, I said, no more Rodney Dangerfield. I said, whoa. I'm really impressed at the fact that those guys seem fit to reward me and award me with this honor, and I'm humbled by it. I'm extremely humbled by it.
You always. I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what did Coach Taft mean to you, and how did he get you to Baylor?
I'll tell you how it happened. I never received a letter from Baylor. Never did. Not even in high school. Not even in junior college. And this coach by the name of Billy Mills walked in, and he had a Baylor shirt on. And he said, "Hey, I want to talk to you." I said, "No, don't say anything. I just want to know what took you so long." Wow. And I told him right then and there, "Hey, I'll come to Baylor." Because I had gone to Baylor myself in my old truck, my 1964 GMC truck, which I still have and drive. I drove up there and walked through Baylor just to see Gary Don Johnson and Ronnie Lee and Coach Taft to see if it was for real. I thought Coach Grant Taft was somebody he was just on the TV. He had the perfect hair, the perfect complexion, and he wasn't a real person. And I thought I'd never meet him. And to see him sitting in my living room with my mother and father, and I'm signing there with him, man, that was more than real to me. I mean, it was like, I got to hurry up and wake up. This is not happening. But being a person with great direction, he gives you great direction. He's cerebral. I have some stories just like all the other guys, but I found out he's a loving, cerebral coach, and I love him for that. I'm a team leader here with Goodyear, and I promise you, I amaze the crowds when I tell them some of the points that he made in my life.
Yeah, we just heard from Jason Smith and what he was in the transition from Guy Morris into Art Briles and some of the things he had to learn, and he was ready to bolt, and then he's now as an unbelievable segment. We're going to have both of these probably pretty much hooked together. I'm going to send it to you so you can hear what Jason Smith had to say, All-American offensive lineman as well. You always played with flair. You were very excitable. You had a personality, both as a person, people can already hear that, but also as a player. Where did that come from?
I'll tell you where that came from. That came from family. My father, my mother and my father allowed us to dream, and they allowed us to ask for whatever it was that we needed to support that dream. My father is the one who told me about Baylor University. He started talking to me at Baylor University when I was 7 years old. He said, "Andrew," he says, "mediocre people, people who practice mediocrity, people who consume mediocre all day long would never attend Baylor University." Now I'm 7 years old, looking at my G.I. Joe saying, "What the hell is he talking about?" So then, later on when I'm about like 12 or 14, I hear it up. I said, "Daddy," I said, "Why do you always say that people who eat meat and okra would never attend Baylor?" So then he straightened me out. But my drive came from my father, and my father said, "Let me tell you something, Andrew." He said, "Don't depend on the next down. Don't depend on the next week of being where you are." He said, "Make the most of every play." And that's where that comes from. And my father was not a person who supported me playing football because he was extremely academic. He was a 4.0 coming out of college, summa cum laude and all that. And he said, "Andrew, make the most out of it." But when he found out I could play, because of Coach Hooker, Coach Craddock, those guys got me in tune. My dad supported me 100%. I was taking protein when everybody thought protein was a poison.
Yeah, I love this story. Lester, Andrew, the melon tree. Your father, by the way, for a lot of people that don't know, your dad, that's a big man, unbelievable icon in a lot of ways in Tyler as well. But he was a big man, wasn't he?
Oh, yes, sir. Well, I'm telling you, I just saw my dad last week. My dad is 89 years old. He still has big pearly white teeth. I mean, huge teeth. He has his grip. We can just call it a vice grip that's kind of rusty right now, but it still hurts you. And then, and he has all his hair. He weighs 252 pounds, and he always walks around looking like a bodybuilder. That was my dad. And I kept asking my mom. I said, "Mom, when am I going to look like Daddy?" She said, "Hang in there, boy. It's a thing called puberty." I said, and then when I was about 19, I said, "Mom, I ain't got there yet."
That's awesome. So when you got the call, you were talking about this morning when you're dancing around and you feel like how you did, and when I called you, it was so real, your reaction. When you got the call, what did you say to Walter?
Well, I just told Walter, I said, "Walter, I'm telling you, man, I just don't believe." Well, I was telling Walter I didn't believe it. he said, Tree, calm down. I said, Walt, it's hard to believe. 40 years, man. He said, Tree, I'm trying to tell you, everybody supported you in this. I said, you joking? He went, yeah, man. He said, everybody remembers you flying across blocking punts. Everybody remembers you flying through there and you play until you exhaust your body and catch cramps to fall out in the fourth quarter. He said, everybody remember that, man. He said, people remember that. They remember that Peach Bowl. 5, 6 sacks, and you still, everybody who you running your mouth all day long talking. I said, hey man, I'm extremely pleased. And my poor wife, I've been walking around the house, so I'm like, do you know who you married to now?
Awesome.
Oh my God. Yeah,
man. I've been killing her ears with that. I said, girl, when you address me as Baylor HOL.
That's what you need to put on your license plate now, right?
Yeah.
You got to get a.
Hey, I promise you, all the people up here suspect I will do that, though.
Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Hey. I wear Baylor T-shirts every day. I'm here. Every day. And they just said, man, when you going to take that off? I went, it just doesn't happen like that.
So, Andrew, you're up in Oklahoma, right?
Yes, sir. I'm in Lawton, Oklahoma.
So you're in Lawton, Oklahoma. You're wearing Baylor T-shirts every day. Did that get especially spicy with the 2 Sooners-Bears meetings this past season?
The 2. No. It's around the clock spicy.
Okay.
It's not that I wear them. It's that I advertise. That's the way Baylor. The conversation starts with Baylor. I mean, I tell you, you win a championship. I tell them I ain't heard nothing about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Oh my gosh! So you were at Kelly Springfield, which is what was a tire a factory right outside on the west side of Tyler, and then Goodyear now is what Kelly Springfield used to be, and that's where you've been working in that company basically for 30 plus years in the last nearly 2 decades in Oklahoma.
Yes, sir. And hey, and here's the story behind that. I'm not going to be long. I know it can't be long. I would drive up and down that road every day. Every time I came home, so Highway 31 runs right up to Waco. You have to go past that. I said, God, as you did with me playing for Baylor, someday, one day, I would like to work at that plant there and be able to provide for my family in the same fashion that I see those employees provide for theirs. And I'm telling you, that was my prayer, not my dream. That was my prayer, and I've been doing this for 33 years.
Wow, that's
amazing.
Awesome.
Andrew, you were the Peach Bowl defensive MVP in that big win over Clemson, your senior season. Is that the game that stands out most to you? What does stand out? I guess games, performances that you had during the course of your career when you look back.
Yes, sir. The Peach Bowl is extremely pleasing, but my game was my last year there in 1979 when we played Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. And my grandfather, at 88 years old, was able to come see me play before he passed away. And I had 7 sacks. I made defensive player of the week, and I had a good time. And I tell you, here's a beautiful thing. I was able to play with Gary Don Johnson, somebody I admired greatly, and I started right next to him. And he and I together had not, who was the big dog then, we kept him under 100 yards. He only had 56 yards that whole game.
Yeah,
that was James Hatton, 6'4", 240 pounds. That was my rewarding. I promise you, I enjoyed that game more than anything.
Man, I tell you what, the emotions that we received today from Jason Smith, who's in the class with you, and there are others as well, 6 sports represented, and then also yours has been, it's been worth just being on the air today. It really has been. It's great. I was just a little freshman at Tyler Junior College when I started watching you play the game. And went to all the games back then. That was a tough conference. It still is, I think, today. And then followed you to Baylor. And, of course, the Melon Tree name, everyone knows what it is in Tyler. And I know a lot of people are excited that you're a part of this class, Andrew, maybe as much as you are. Please be careful. Enjoy what you're doing. And we'll see you when that banquet comes and I can't wait to hear your speech.
And I thank you guys for blessing me with this interview. I promise. Thank you so very much.
We will send you a link, and you send it to whoever you want, okay?
Well, he's earned a return trip already.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back with us.
All right, man. Hey, Andrew, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
You guys be careful.
That's Andrew Mellentree. He was absolutely phenomenal when I started watching him in the fall of my freshman year at TJC, and now that's a great emotion there as well. Jason Smith was great. When we come back, we'll wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, brought to you by Waco Custom Marketplace. Jason King at 4, also Homer Drew and Andre Dawson. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Right now, the Buick Encores are the perfect crossover SUV with a quiet ride, a roomy interior, and they are packed with safety features and the latest technology. Right now, all 2020 Buick Encores are in stock, 0% for 84 months for qualified buyers, plus $1,250 in savings, or you can save $6,000 and drive off in a Buick Encore for only $19,900. And the offers don't stop there. 0% for 84 months continues at Richard Carr. That includes the 2020 GMC line of Sierras, Yukons, Terrains, Canyons, Acadias, and the lineup of Buick SUVs, all 0% for 84 months for qualified buyers. And if you're looking for the ultimate luxury, style, and power in a new SUV, then don't settle. Drive the Cadillac XT4, XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. You can experience the thrill of owning a Cadillac right now at Richard Carr. Great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and in-town priority warranty service all comes with your purchase at Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, and Richard Carr Motors continues to be the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They want the chance to earn your business. So stop by the daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home. Your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It's been tough. Sitting in isolation, rarely getting out, neglected, unimportant, naked. Hi, this is Jay from Pickup Outfitters, and I'm talking about the forgotten casualty in this mess, your truck. It's been waiting patiently for you during this crisis, waiting for some sign that it's okay to get out again. At Pickup Outfitters, we believe that no truck should be left behind, and that it's time to reward your truck for sticking with you during these difficult times. So we're announcing the End Truck Nudity Stimulus Package. Benefits designed to outfit your truck so that it's ready to get out in public again, like free installation and a free rubber bed mat with every hard bed cover purchase, $250 off ranch hand bumpers installed, $300 off ARE camper shells, free laser fit front floor liners with every ranch hand grill guard purchase and install. And there's more. Call or come by our Pickup Outfitters showroom and help us make your truck feel wanted again. Or check out our in-truck nudity stimulus package on our website, createacommotion.com/stimulus.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We are open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Live crawfish is back. The 30-pound bags of live crawfish, as delicious as you can imagine, back at Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. $3 a pound, 30-pound live crawfish bags are available. You order by Thursday at noon. You can pick up your customized order anytime on Friday afternoon until 6 p.m. And the drive-thru now open at Waco Custom Marketplace Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can still order what you want from their butcher shop, including beef and poultry, seafood, and also pork. And, of course, their bakery. You can order from their bakery. You can go online, WacoCustomMarketplace.com, or go by the drive-thru. Waco Custom Marketplace, live crawfish available Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6. Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
The Willis Law Firm chat room open is brought to you by Willis Law Firm on Sikkim 365 Premium. Also, the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line, 254-339-1122. And this is a 4 o'clock hour coming up right next. We'll have Jason King, Sikkim 365. We'll have Hall of Famer Andre Dawson, Hall of Famer Homer Drew on the tournament and what they're doing with former Baylor players, among other players around the country. That all coming up next in the 4 o'clock hour with Sikkim 365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, back right now and continuing throughout the month of May. 0% financing for 72 months, no payments for up to 120 days. The offer is good on most new Ram trucks, the Jeeps and Dodge and Chrysler cars and SUVs. If you've been waiting for the fantastic deal on heavy-duty trucks, the new Ram Heavy Duties now feature employee pricing for all. Incredible deals on new heavy-duty trucks, the 2020 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. And they also have a phenomenal pre-owned group of cars and SUVs available, including the one that I was able to get thanks to AJ. If you go to the dealership and you're looking for a new car, everybody there is fantastic to deal with. You can ask for AJ, tell him Smokey sent you. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, and again, remember, 0% financing for 72 months, no payments for up to 120 days, safe, clean environment, sanitized for safety. It's right there for you, just off the Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through, and business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. And a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Dawson sends one deep to left center field. James back, and he'll watch this one sail out. Dawson has hit his second home run of the day, a tremendous blast over the back fence, and the Cubs now lead 4-2.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
We will hear from Homer Drew at around 4:40. We'll have Andre Dawson, the Hawk. He'll join us at 4:15. He is now a mortician in Florida during the pandemic.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and also we have, in fact, somebody that does an incredible job covering college sports, college basketball, covered Baylor as well as anybody did down the stretch this year. Jason King, Sikkim365.com. Jason, you have to be really good this segment, not because of who we have coming up, but because of the personalities we just heard from with Jason Smith and also with Andrew Melantree. So what do you know about the tournament? We're going to have Homer Drew on at 4:40. Some former players from Baylor are a part of his team. What do you know much about, if anything, the tournament?
I just know it's gaining in popularity. I mean, it kind of started off as a little experimental deal, and it ended up getting really good TV ratings. And, people started really into it. All of a sudden, they made it where fans got to kind of vote on the teams that got in, for instance. I think a few years ago, or maybe even last year, Baylor had a team they were trying to put together, didn't get quite enough fan backing, wasn't able to get the team in the tournament. So it's kind of become just a really popular thing, not just for players, but for fans, because, also at that time of the year, there's just not a lot of good sports on TV, and people that are itching for basketball, so they can kind of get their fix that way. It's kind of a whatever happened to tournament. All of a sudden, a guy like Pierre Jackson shows up, or Isaiah Austin, and guys that you used to cheer for, all of a sudden you're seeing them not just on TV again, but on ESPN with big time commentary, and they're playing for tons of money. So it's really a fun deal, and I'm glad to hear Baylor's trying to get a team together again.
Well, yeah, Quincy Miller is in it, and who else is in this thing?
I saw Quincy Miller, Tweety Carter. Tweety Carter? I think.
Yeah. So
I think it was Tweety, Pierre, Isaiah, Quincy Miller, and then a couple other guys from Michigan State. Maybe I think I saw, but I don't know if the team's complete yet. But that's a pretty impressive start.
Jason, as we kind of inch closer to the NBA draft, do you get any kind of inkling of what might be going on with Jared Butler or Maceo Teague?
I actually had a long talk with Jeff Goodman the other day, who had interviewed both of those guys on a Zoom or something like that, and he said his gut after talking with them was that they would be back. I've kind of felt that way all along. I'm actually a little more worried about Teague than I am Butler, just because a lot of times when you see a guy that's been in school 4 years, even though he's only played 3, he's been in school 4. Sometimes you just kind of wonder where they're at mentally. If they're just kind of ready to move on, and not just because they're itching for money, they're just kind of ready for something new. And I don't know, I kind of got that sense with him a little bit, when talking to him, over a month ago when he made that declaration. But hopefully, their teammates get in their ear a little bit, the coaches get in their ear, and they realize, hey, I've got a chance, to really leave a legacy. It'd be different if Baylor was a mid-tier Big 12 team that was a borderline tournament team. But when you look at, the potential they have to do special things next year, you got to think that someone will make them realize, hey, let's do the smart thing here and go back and leave a legacy. But he has his degree, so who knows? I mean, we saw today that he did sign with an agency. Now, that was an NCAA-approved agency, meaning under this new rule, you can go ahead and sign with those people and still maintain your eligibility. So no reason to panic on that front. But he certainly still seems up in the air if he's doing that kind of thing.
It's interesting you say that about Maceo Teague instead of Jared Butler. I felt that listening to him. We had him, this is when we were still on the radio, which we are now, but the different radio station, and I kind of felt that almost very quiet, stoic confidence when we had him on about what he was about to do. I guess that you heard that too.
I did, and I think he had a good time at Baylor during his 2 years, and hopefully there's a third. But a lot of times a guy like that is used to being the star. I mean, even though it was just at UNC Asheville, I mean, he was consistently winning the Players of the Week, the Conference Player of the Year, whatever it was. Everyone was talking about him, and he comes to Baylor, and you kind of got to share the glory a little bit. And sometimes that's difficult for people to grasp or handle. I mean, you see Jared Butler getting All-American and first team All-League, and he's getting second team All-League. It's just kind of a new thing for him, and sometimes the wrong people get in his ear and kind of plant the wrong seeds, and hopefully, during this time, the right people will get back at him and say, hey, we love you here. You're an integral part of this team. Because I do. I mean, I think to really win that big title, they've got to have him back. I mean, he had some huge games for them. You remember the big shot he hit against Texas Tech in overtime. I think it was a 28-point performance, 24-point performance against Oklahoma State in that good game at home that they won. So, I mean, he was a huge part of that team. I think he was actually leading the team in scoring, just barely, but leading the team in scoring when he got hurt against Texas, and his stats plummeted a little bit. But he didn't get hurt. I mean, he's a 15, 16-point-a-game guy. As good as Butler was, I mean, Teague was a big, just as big a part of the team as he was.
With both those guys being guards, and I know Baylor's got some guys in the wings that they're confident with, but if they want to, try to maintain what they did this past year, they really do need at least Butler back, don't they? Because a lot of the guys they have coming in are not that accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to be good players, especially, the kid, Flagler. I mean, I think he's going to be an impact player for them off the back, kind of like maybe like a Devontae Bandu, but maybe a little bit better defender. Maybe a little more. I don't know. I think it's almost like a wash trading Bandu for him. I mean, I think he'll be fine. But Butler's a special player. I mean, a third-team All-American. I mean, you don't just replace that. And they were able to do a lot of the things they did because of him. I mean, so you got to have him back. Yeah, I think I think they would compete for the Big 12 title without him, but I don't think they win it. I certainly think they're a top 25 team without him. But to be a special team, I guess is what I should say. Yeah, I think they need him back, and I don't know. My gut feeling is that he'll return, and I certainly hope so because I've enjoyed watching him play as much as any player that's ever played at Baylor. I think he's the best guard that Scott Drew's ever had, and not only that, I just think he's just such a good ambassador for the program at the school. I mean, he is so well spoken in press conferences and just seems to really get it. I mean, his head is in the right place as far as the team concept, not caring about stats as opposed to winning and things like that. I just think the culture that they have in that program right there is, so much due to him and his mindset and the way he carried himself.
We had Mac Rhodes on yesterday. Craig, who does a phenomenal job of putting the transcript up of what could be a 25-minute interview with sometimes longer. But one of the things we didn't even think about, and it kind of made me think, is that if they play Sunday, which they're going to play Ole Miss Sunday, although Ole Miss jumped the gun on this, that's one less day to prepare for your first conference game. And yes, it's Kansas, who a lot of people will go, oh, big deal. But when you are a staff and a team that's lost as much as they have and no off season, at least Les Miles is there for year 2. Isn't that one of the things that you have to think about is, wait a minute, we have one less day, although it's great to be the only game on that night?
Yeah, I mean, I think I hate to just downgrade or down talk Kansas, but I think that would be a much, much bigger concern if it was just about any other top team but Kansas. I think they kind of lucked out in that regard, and so that's certainly something that works against Baylor. Though you're right that on the flip side, I mean, I just look at it as, hey, first home game of the year, Dave Aranda's first game, people really unifying and being happy to be back together after the pandemic. Although, granted, we don't know what the stipulations will be like. But I don't know. I just think that it could be a really juiced, charged atmosphere for Baylor in that game. Even if it's not in the stands, I mean, on the sidelines. So, I mean, luckily they're playing a team that has lost their quarterback and it's just not very good right now. Although Kansas last year, towards the end was playing well, but they did lose quite a bit. So I like Baylor in that one.
Jason King, every Sunday night, early Monday. We're going to let you go, Jason. Thanks for your time. You come up with all these questions, or I love them. All of us participate. Most of us, sometimes we can and we can't. Keep that up, man. That's fantastic. The pop quiz.
I still got to know about, CD. Come on, Jason. It's 2020. Just say album. Don't embarrass yourself. I was just.
Well, I know. I'm the one. For listeners that don't know, I'm the ones that write those questions up. And I didn't know if I should say CD or album. I mean, is that how do you still refer to them as albums? I guess when I think of album, I think of actually records on a record player. But I guess album is the right term. I'll tell you what. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, Smokey.
I didn't blink.
If you would have said, "What's your favorite cassette?" He would have been like, "Yeah, great."
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I should have said cassette. That would have really been. But what's funny about those, if you look in the comments, we do all these great analytical answers for sports-related topics, and then the last question is always about food or music or TV or movies, and those are the questions that get the biggest response in the comment section. I wonder if we should just do a pop culture Q&A. I don't think as interested in that as anything, but I'm glad y'all are enjoying it, and I appreciate that.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Jason King with us, Sikkim365.com. His work almost all but embedded, basically, with the Baylor men's basketball team during the stretch where they were trying to go and maybe win a national title that ended because of the COVID. Was phenomenal. He does a great job with Sikkim365.com. Grayson, Colt, Craig, the show. By the way, Deontay Epps is here today running part of the mothership as well. When we come back, he's now a mortician. He was absolutely a Hall of Fame baseball player. Andre Dawson, next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Are you in the market for a new home, or are you trying to sell your current home? Well, you need to call my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. He's your go-to source. He's your go-to guy. Lance is a fantastic listener, and I say this all the time about him because it's one of the first things you're going to notice about Lance is that he is an absolutely wonderful listener, and he's going to hear everything that you have to say about what you need from your home, what you want to get out of selling your home, what you're looking for, and the eXp Realty team. 254-214-3713 or visit his webpage for his most current listings, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be, with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Hi, this is Steve Huff, head football coach, College Station High School, and you're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at IdealMRI.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Ready to get outside? Go where you want to go in a new Jeep from Allen Samuels. Get employee pricing plus for all on new 2020 Gladiators and Wranglers. Put yourself in a new 2020 Grand Cherokee, Compass, Cherokee, or Renegade with 0% for 72 and no payments for up to 120 days. Let's go. Allen Samuels is ready to do business in person or online. Drive forward in a Jeep from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue.
Next in line.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
There's a drive, and the Mustangs going back in the walk this game. It might be headed! A home run! Holy cow! His starting first home run! His third of the game!
The Sikkim 365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. In about 25 minutes or so, Homer Drew, he's a Hall of Fame college basketball coach. He'll join us. Scott Drew's father, Bryce's father, he'll join us about the tournament and what's coming up with that and how many former Baylor players are involved with that. We just had Jason King on, Sikkim365.com. We'll have Andre Dawson momentarily. And earlier in the first hour, the emotions of Jason Smith and Andrew Melantree from 2 different decades, split up by a lot. Like by 4 decades almost. And what it means to be a part of the Baylor Athletics Hall of Fame and the emotions of each one of them. And we're tracking down Andre Dawson. Craig, you had a note real quick, and if we get Andre, we'll go straight to him, about Ohio State's athletic director or president?
AD Gene Smith talked to reporters today, and he said that the school, and if you missed the show yesterday, we had Mac Rhodes on, and Mac Rhodes is with us each Tuesday in the 4 o'clock hour. He told us that he can see a scenario where fans are in the stands this year, although it may be socially distanced to where it's kind of like what you see at a grocery store nowadays. But Ohio State AD Gene Smith said that he can foresee a scenario where Buckeye stadiums holding a little less than 30,000 fans, but that you would have 20, 22, 25,000 fans in the stands for a stadium that would typically hold like 80,000.
Over 100.
Or over 100. Yeah, you're right, the Horseshoe, yeah. So, yeah, it would be a lot less than normal, but you could still have 20 to 30,000 people in the stands, and that's what Ohio State's looking at.
It'll be interesting to see who gets to go, the tickets and whatever else. All right, we're now joined by a Hall of Famer in Andre Dawson. Played for the original Expos, the expansion Expos, the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Marlins, lives in Florida, and he joins us now live on Sikkim 365 Radio. Andre, let me tell you something. We launched this show 7 weeks ago, and I have reached out to a lot of people. We've had Kurt Schilling, we've had Tom Glavine, we've had some great names. It is a thrill to have the Hawk on this radio show. We appreciate your time. How have you been? I know you have a very unique career now after baseball. How have you been doing?
I'm doing just well. Miss baseball, obviously, but my new venture now is I own a funeral home, and with everything turned upside down now, all of the uncertainty, that creates a little bit different of a challenge in itself, but we're going about business as usual, and thank God I'm holding up. I'm doing fine through all of this.
Andre, you were a player that was a five-tool guy. You were great on defense. You stole bases. You hit home runs. You did all that. That is very rare in baseball to have that. A lot of times nowadays, guys who would wind up being five-tool players get yanked away to other sports. Was baseball your first love, and is that why you always stayed with it?
Yeah, baseball always was my preference of choice. I just, dangled in the other sports probably at the middle school, high school level just to help pass the time and because my friends played. But growing up, I started baseball when I was about 9 years old, and actually it was obviously the only thing I ever really wanted to do.
Where did your study habits come from, Andre? I mean, you were a guy that was always looking at what pitchers were doing, taking down notes, doing things like that. Where did your study habits and your desire to educate yourself more about what you were going to be facing come from?
Actually, my first grade teacher was an aunt of mine, and she would keep me after school and make me write on the chalkboard, both manuscript and cursive. And I used to think that she was punishing me for whatever reason, but I can understand, and I know now when I got elected into the Dade County High School Hall of Fame, I had to take a teacher in with me, and obviously the first choice was my aunt. Mm. But my grandmother was one who always were persuasive about a college education, and she said if you have talent or ability somewhere along the lines, someone will take notice, but make your education first and foremost. And that's kind of the attitude I had growing up. As much as I enjoyed and loved the game of baseball, I realized that in order to play baseball, you had to get your education. So I tried to be the best student that I could.
Where did the fire burn? Where did that come, the fire that burned inside your competitive belly?
I had an uncle who played, and he was pretty good. He got, I think, as high as AA with the Pittsburgh Pirate organization. But I came from a background of educators. My uncle who got me started in the game, as I said, when I was 9 years old, he was a teacher and then later on a principal. And he was probably one of my chief motivators because he didn't give me a lot of area to fail. He just, said that as encouraging as it was, that you got to keep pushing forward, make your work ethic impeccable, and just try to play and perform beyond just being consistent. So I got the nickname of the Hawk when I was about 9 years old from a different uncle. And for whatever reason, I don't know, it stuck with me all those years. I had a family nickname by the name of Pudgy. I was never really a fat kid. But I think that focus and intensity came from early upbringing. I went out on the playing field, and I was obviously trying to stay as tuned in as I possibly could and just try to play the game to the best of my ability.
Smart move by Andre, by the way. Hockey is way cooler than Pudgy. Pudgy's fine, but hockey is definitely a cooler nickname.
You really enjoyed playing for the Cubs. I know that your exit from Montreal was contentious. What was it like being in what is probably the best sports city in the world for professional sports and fans who, in spite of whatever's going on, come to the game and really get into it?
Well, the difference, and I won't say the difference in Montreal and Chicago because there really is no comparison. But playing in Wrigley Field, it was the ultimate for me because it was a natural playing facility, grass. They had a fan base that was national. They had WGN, the Super Channel. Harry Carey was there. He was pretty renowned. And it just seemed like a natural fit for me. It was still in the National League. And I just felt that whenever I played during the daytime, I would always produce better results. I put up better numbers. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And then, you just had that huge following around the country. And I can recall being a free agent and a fan out in right field when I was out on defense made a comment. They said, we know you're a free agent. If you would consider Wrigley Field, Chicago, we'd love to have you here. And that went a long way because I didn't really anticipate testing the free agent market. I wanted to sign a contract and stay with one organization the entirety of my career. But when the business aspect took over, it was kind of like looking at me, staring me in the face. Okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And Chicago obviously was my first choice.
We talked to Tom Glavine, as we mentioned earlier, and you just kind of referenced it there, being on WGN. Tom was saying that being on Superstation TBS, just every park they went to, people knew the Braves, knew the players, and everything like that. I would imagine you had similar experiences. How much do you think WGN just opened up the world to you and to the rest of that Cubs roster?
Well, it's funny because when we would go on road trips, we seemed to have just as many Cubs fans in the stands as the home team had. And, of course, that point, obviously, even after 10 years, Chicago may have made me a household name in the state. And I look back at that and winning the MVP award my first year there. I finished runner-up twice in Montreal. I think that really opened the doors to exactly who Andre Dawson was. And I just owe so much to not only that organization, but the fan base in Chicago because they really allowed me to come in and not really, fiddle my way around. I was a seasoned veteran, but I was able to plant my feet underneath me and feel like I was a part of that organization. And they really, really, drove me day in and day out.
You were inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame. I think it was in 2000 and maybe 10. You had to wait a while, and sometimes that's the way it is. And early on, your ballot percentage was low, and it's kind of a process for some. What was that like for you? The wait, and did you ever get to a point where you thought you just would never get in?
Well, I didn't think that I wouldn't get in. Obviously, when you retire, when it's all said and done, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, did I do enough? And I can recall being on the ballot with Ozzie Smith. And when Ozzie got 90-something odd percent of the vote, for me, I felt like, it was a disgrace to get such a low vote total, being that we kind of played in the same era. But I think it was bittersweet because I always felt that I would at some point get in. The vote total slowly started to climb with each year, but I recall my mother saying to me that it's inevitable, that they can't take it away from you. And I continue to say it's bittersweet because he passed away and didn't get an opportunity to see that. So I look back at it and took 9 years. I got in when there was my biggest window. With no one ahead of me in the vote process. So I look back at that, and the ultimate was that, you're in the Hall of Fame despite however long it took. But I would have loved to see not only my mother but my grandmother witness that particular moment.
The 89 team that you guys had in Chicago, I was just running down the roster. You had Greg Maddux and Ryan Sandberg all in the Hall of Fame, and not to mention a young Joe Girardi, a young Mark Grayson. Again, Maddux was only 23. Sean Dunston was a fantastic player back then. Rick Sutcliffe, the Wild Thing, Mitch Williams, all there. What was that season like for you guys, and with that roster that was so fantastic?
Well, a lot of people felt that we sort of overachieved. We also had Jerome Walton, Dwight Smith, who were Rookie of the Year candidates. Walton winning the award. But we just, Don Zimmer was at the helm. And we just, felt that we went out and we challenged ourselves. Once we realized, okay, we got a pretty good unit assembled here and we were playing competitive, that meant that, okay, how far can we just go with this? We got as far as the championship series with the Giants, and we lost to the Giants. But that was a fun and exciting year, because everything that Don Zimmer, every move that he made, it just seemed to work in his favor, and he could do no wrong. But it was a young team. It was an exciting team.
You played 21 years of Major League Baseball. Were you always able to, even though it's a business, and you even discussed that as far as when you eventually became a free agent, were you able to keep it and enjoy it like you were a kid playing baseball?
I tried not to ever let monetary matters be an issue. A good example of that is when I was a free agent and it was during the era of collusion. No one was going to negotiate with you. I realized the only way that I can get where I need to be, where I would like to be, is not to go in and negotiate with the ball club, but give them a blank contract and let them evaluate it and tell me what they think I'm worth. But obviously, you look at the business side of it, and you want to always try and get your fair market value. But I just tried not to be fueled by the economic part of the game. I had people that I believed in and I trusted who would take care of that. I never wanted to get involved in it. My main focus was to go out and play the game, be able to give the uniform back as opposed to have it taken away. And with that in mind, when I set a goal to play 15 years, I got to 15 years, and I said I can do this a little bit longer. And when it was all said and done, I had a 20-year career underneath me, and I felt at that time it was, time to walk away from the game, and I didn't look back.
It was amazing, the career that Andre Dawson had, just under 2,800 hits, 8-time All-Star, 87 MVP, Rookie of the Year, 8-time Gold Glove. Paul, you mentioned he could run, he could throw, he could hit with power, he could do it all. And a phenomenal center fielder, moved to right field later on in his career, and always known as just class,
Yeah. I was going through and watching highlights of yours today, and I watched a good chunk of a game. August 1st, 1987, you hit 3 home runs in that game, and I used the highlight coming back where Harry Carey just lost his mind. Of course, that was pretty late in the game, too, so who knows what was going up there in the booth. But it was a fantastic highlight. When you are locked in a game like that, what goes through your mind as a hitter, and there was nothing they could do to stop you that day in particular. You had lots of days like that, but that one in particular, you looked to me just watching the video of nothing was going to get by you at all.
Well, you're seeing the ball real well, especially in the strike zone, and everything just seems to be running in sync. And there were a lot of occasions where I would be locked in. I would be locked in for a week. And, it just the numbers just seemed to roll from that standpoint. And I can recall being so locked in. I hit a ball in Houston in the Astrodome in the upper deck, and it was quoted that there had been only 3 home runs in the history of the Astrodome hit out there in the upper deck. And Lou Piniella got wind of it. The Reds, we were going home, the Reds were coming in. For the very first game, he elected not to pitch to me. He intentionally walked me 5 times. And I look back at that and I chuckled. But, you know, when you're seeing the ball real well and you feel like everything is coordinated, that is, your stride, your approach to the at-bat itself, it's just such a wonderful feeling. You can't wait to get back to the plate because you have the attitude that, you know, whatever they throw to me in the strike zone, I'm going to put a good swing on it, and I'm probably going to make pretty good contact.
Couple more questions for Andre Dawson, Baseball Hall of Famer. We absolutely appreciate you being a part of the show on Sikkim 365 Radio. You were inducted, as I mentioned, in 2010, but there was something that was amazing. Your teammate, Ryan Sandberg, Hall of Fame second baseman in 2005, during his speech, made a speech and included you in the speech that you deserved or earned. I don't like the word deserve. Earned your right to be a part of baseball's Hall of Fame. No player in baseball history worked harder, suffered more, or did it better than Andre Dawson. He's the best player I've ever seen, and he went on and on and on. What did that mean to you?
Well, coming from a teammate, especially one that I watched from a distance as the opposition, and then having the chance to locker right next to him and play alongside of him, I admired him for his gamesmanship, his approach to how he carried himself both on and off the field. And he was one of my all-time favorite teammates. And I think he did get to witness a little bit of the history of the knee issues that I had to endure during the course of my career, because I would always be the first one to get to the ballpark, the last one to leave. I had a routine on a daily basis to prepare myself to play the game itself. So he saw a lot of that on a day-to-day basis. But, you know, coming from a teammate that I admired, you know, really, really meant a lot to me, and it spoke volumes for who he was and what he meant to me.
You were working for the Marlins in 2003 when you got a World Series ring with that fantastic team. But famously, that team had to go through Chicago and the Steve Bartman thing. Was it surreal for you, a former Cub and a beloved Cub, to go be a part of a team that had to go through your, you know, a place that you loved to win the World Series?
Well, I remember that moment so vividly because Tony Perez and myself were sitting up in one of the skyboxes, and it appeared that, okay, the Marlins are going to pull this thing out, and they're going to New York to play the Yankees in the World Series. And we had to walk down the concourse to get back to the clubhouse. And this was, I think, the bottom of the 8th inning, and we were up a few runs. And I sensed some of the dismay in the crowds and stuff because we had to walk through the crowds, and I could hear things like traitor and stuff like that. And it did hit a low point with me once the game was over and I was able to walk out of the dugout and onto the field where the team was celebrating. And the hush that came over the stadium itself was like, wow, I can understand, you know, how this has been snatched away from these fans, how they really feel that, you know, they should be in the World Series. And being an ex-Cub and knowing what that would mean to that particular fan base, it was kind of bittersweet for me because I knew that it was something that I was going to enjoy later on, even though I wasn't a player, but also under the same token, how Chicago had waited so long and, you know, it didn't happen, and who knows when it may happen.
And eventually it did, just like the Red Sox and 2 teams that you played for. Mr. Dawson, if you don't mind, one more question. You mentioned early on that you're in the business of mortician in Florida. You've been now in that business for quite some time. Can you even try to explain what you've seen or dealt with these last few months in Florida?
Well, business goes on as usual. but I've seen a drastic change in procedure and how you go about business on a day-to-day basis, how you got to make exceptions, how you got to get the fans, the families that are grieving, that are mourning, to get through the process, even though they can't send their loved one off under normal circumstances. And I haven't really encountered too many COVID cases. I think to date we have 7, 4 of which were direct cremations. But I've grown to really buy into the importance of social distancing, of using the precautions necessary for the safety of others. And things seem to change on a daily basis. But first and foremost for me is the safety of all parties involved. But it can get to be very scary, when you deal with the cases directly and they were COVID related, because no one knows where the virus is, who's affected, and we have to change policy also when we do removals, because we don't know if a person might have the disease. So we're taking a lot of precaution in handling the cases themselves, but we just try to make sure that they're aware that we're more concerned about their safety as well as for the people that work for me.
I have to pass along this tweet. We got to go, and you do it as well. Josh Ellis, Josh H. Ellis on Twitter. When I put up that we had you on, this is simple, but millions feel this way. My favorite baseball player of all time.
Well, thank you very much. You obviously got to be a Cubs fan, because I get that a lot from the Cubs fan.
Hey, thanks, Andre. Thank you very much. Good luck with you, and appreciate you being a part of our show. It means a lot. The Hall of Famer, Hawk, Andre Dawson. Thank you.
That's a bucket list kind of interview for me, is Andre Dawson. Because Craig and I, our youth, we watched the Cubs and Braves all the time. So getting Glavine and Dawson, those are players we watched all the time.
Yeah, I will say, and I don't want to bring it down too much here, but what he's doing right now and what he's dealing with, I feel so terrible for families that are going through, especially those with loved ones in nursing homes. I just lost my grandfather earlier this year, and he probably missed out on being inside of a nursing home during the COVID scare by like a month. He passed away about a month before everything hit. And there was this live PD episode, because I watched that show on occasion, from like a couple of weeks ago. And they got a call because a woman was like standing outside of a window at a nursing home. And so the lady police officer shows up to check out what's going on. It turns out it's like this woman who's probably in her late 80s, early 90s. And she was just trying to communicate with her husband, who is in the nursing home, through the window, because she was not allowed inside as they sort of shut that down, right? So it was just very heartbreaking, very sad. And so I know he has to deal with that. He doesn't have to deal with all that up close and personal, but I know he has to deal with a lot of families who are heartbroken that they can't be close or have regular funerals right now, and that's really hard. So I definitely feel for all those people that have dealt with that these last couple of months.
That was Andre Dawson. We've had Jason Smith, Andrew Melventry, Jason King. Now coming up, a Hall of Famer, college basketball Hall of Famer, Homer Drew of the Drew Basketball Dynasty. He's next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Ideal MRI. Not sure how many times you've had to go and get something checked, whether it's something that's broken or torn, or maybe all of the above. Ideal MRI, maintaining high quality in today's cost of health care that continues to rise. They, idealmri.com, are trying to bring down the cost of health care, but they don't lose the value of what you deserve, what you need when it comes to excellence, when it comes to what they have with their specialists, when it comes to the state-of-art technology, when it comes to the MRI machine that I experienced in the Central Texas Marketplace in Waco, that was the least intrusive, easiest MRI I've ever done. And I've done a few. You're 61 years old, you have a few things that go wrong. They were amazing. Sometimes saving you thousands of dollars less Also, whether you use insurance or not, it's going to be easier and less expensive. Accept most insurances and no hidden costs. They continue to make sure the environment there is sanitized and safe based on CDC guidelines. Ideal MRI, making healthcare cheaper, making sure, though, the MRI you get is state-of-the-art the way you deserve and what you want. IdealMRI.com.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
Live crawfish is back. The 30-pound bags of live crawfish, as delicious as you could imagine, back at Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. $3 a pound, 30-pound live crawfish bags are available. You order by Thursday at noon. You can pick up your customized order anytime on Friday afternoon until 6 p.m. And the drive-thru now open at Waco Custom Marketplace Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can still order what you want from their butcher shop, including beef and poultry, seafood, and also pork. And, of course, their bakery. You can order from their bakery. You can go online, WacoCustomMarketplace.com, or go by the drive-thru. Waco Custom Marketplace, live crawfish available Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6.
It's been tough. Sitting in isolation, rarely getting out, neglected, unimportant, naked. Hi, this is Jay from Pickup Outfitters, and I'm talking about the forgotten casualty in this mess, your truck. It's been waiting patiently for you during this crisis, waiting for some sign that it's okay to get out again. At Pickup Outfitters, we believe that no truck should be left behind, and that it's time to reward your truck for sticking with you during these difficult times. So we're announcing the End Truck Nudity Stimulus Package. Benefits designed to outfit your truck so that it's ready to get out in public again. All toolboxes $25 off plus free install. All RKI heavy-duty toolboxes $75 off plus free install. All receiver hitches get a free ball mount. All gooseneck and fifth wheel hitches receive a free plug in the bed with install. $300 off ARE camper shells. Call or come by our Pickup Outfitters showroom and help us make your truck feel wanted again. Or check out our End Truck Nudity Stimulus Package on our website, createacommotion.com/stimulus.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
The inbounds pass to be thrown by Jamie Sykes. Carter pressuring. It's to Jenkins to Drew for the win. Gone! He did it! Bryce Drew did it! Valpo has won the game! A miracle!
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
That's shocking that you would play that highlight. An introduction into Homer Drew. Huh?
I started watching. They have segments where you watch the whole last little 3 minutes where people are calling timeouts, and they were talking about the funny thing is that Homer Drew had to go all the way to his living room to recruit his best shooter.
He's a Hall of Famer. We just had Andre Dawson, a baseball Hall of Famer, college basketball Hall of Famer in 2009. Homer Drew joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Of course, Scott, Bryce, and the family, the Drew family. Coach, do you ever go anywhere where someone doesn't bring up that shot?
It is amazing how long the shot has lasted, and it's still wonderful. When I was listening as you playing it, it still brings shivers back to me. It was such a wonderful moment having Scott sitting right next to me, and then Bryce hitting the shot, of course. So it's always been a very special moment, and it's only through people like yourselves and TV and the cable and that it's always been voted 1, 2, or 3 by the fans as one of the best shots. So it's amazing to me how long it has lived, and it's still wonderful to hear and see.
You retired from coaching, per se, after 2011. You've still been involved in college athletics. But is this the tournament? You just couldn't help yourself, could you? You had to go back into coaching again.
Well, the wonderful thing was that I had a year off, and I was the assistant to our president at Valparaiso University, and then Scott accepted the job at Baylor University. So it happened in late August when most schools were already back in session. So it just worked out well for me just to step back into coaching. But I love the year off. It's like a sabbatical, that the professors get. So I tried to get them to do it for basketball coaches, but no one liked my idea very much.
Coach, was it difficult to see, obviously across the board, but especially for Scott and, really, and this is saying a lot, I can tell you this, the most unified team he's ever had and the one with likely the best chance to make a Final Four, even with the Elite Eights, to have it end like this, you watching your son have to do this and deal with that?
Very, very difficult. I think I took it harder than Scott did. What a magnificent year, magnificent chemistry that this team possessed, and then not to have them have that opportunity to make the Final Four and have a good opportunity to win it all. And so, of course, you've got other teams out there thinking the exact same thing. So it was a disappointment for basketball and a disappointment for fans, like you and myself. We gear up for – I've always believed that March Madness is the best coaching event, more than the Super Bowl and all the World Series and that, because it goes for the whole month, and you see so many upsets and underdogs. And so it's just been a great venue, and to have that taken out, especially this year when Scott, who's been there now for 17 years, had his great opportunity. But we all adjust to the times, and he was really good at keeping his team up and keeping his dad up as well.
Oh, he handled it magnificently. I can't imagine how proud you are. Coach, I wanted to know, when did you first see the signs that Scott had some coaching talent and that might be a route he could pursue?
Wow, you take me back in time when he was a senior at college at Butler University, and he was always on track to go into law school. So he came home over Christmas, and he says, "Dad, I need to visit with you." And I said, "Well, sure, let's sit down and talk." He says, "I'm thinking maybe, going into coaching." And I said, "Scott, that's wonderful." I said, "After you get your law degree, we can talk about coaching, And he says, No, Dad. I would like to go into it now. So we had an opening for a grad assistant. So the timing was wonderful. And Scott came in as a grad assistant and, of course, worked his way up, and the rest is history. But he always had a flair, a gift to communicate. And, from his grandparents to little kids. He was just a wonderful communicator, and he was really good strategically at understanding the game because he was around it. When we would run our basketball camps, he and Bryce and Dana, our 3 children, grew up, they ended up, helping run the camps and working. And so they've always been around the basketball. And it's been kind of interesting, David and Craig, is that I never forced them into basketball, but they all gravitated to that because all as a dad you want them to do is to find something that they enjoy doing, because as you and I know, and you guys are so good with radio and knowledge and information and the excitement that you bring to your show, you enjoy that. It doesn't become, oh, I got to go in today. So always wanted that for our three kids, and they all kind of gravitated to the world of basketball, which is wonderful.
Well, there's the tournament that you are a part of, and I saw College Basketball Hall of Famer Homer Drew forms Team Heartfire for the tournament, including Isaiah Austin, Tweety Carter, Quincy Miller, Ish Wainwright, others. So give us an idea how all this is put together. What are some of the things you can do, the roster? How do you do this?
Well, the TBT, of course, is the $1 million and was going to go up to $2 million tournament. I don't know what they're still working through the organizational patterns for what they're going to be able to do with the coronavirus and what to do. So we don't know exactly what they're going to be doing. But Brandon Wood, one of my former players at Valparaiso University, who went on from there to play his senior year at Michigan State, came and he talked a year ago about, why don't you coach our team? Would love to have you do that. And so it didn't work out that year. And then he again came. And so he had played under a team with Mark and Jeff Dyer out of Arizona. And so they talked with me and we talked about it. And so I said, sure, let's try to put a team together. And it was wonderful to get 4 of the Baylor players who I grew up watching when Scott was coaching them. So to have Tweety and Ishmael and Isaiah and Quincy, feel really excited to have them on the team and trying to blend all of us together in a very short period of time.
We had Steve Shanwald on the show last week, who a longtime Bulls executive, and he brought you up, you and Bryce and Scott up as someone he's known for a long time. We were talking to him about The Last Dance. Have you gotten to watch The Last Dance and your thoughts and of that?
Have watched every episode of that. It's fascinating, the behind the scenes, to get a chance to look on how the players related and how they approach things was really, I thought, very enjoyable to watch and to kind of follow. And Steve Shanwell has been a wonderful friend for years. He would come down to our games at Valparaiso and go to dinner and that. So we've had a long friendship together. Now, I want to make sure that you two beware, don't be hustled into his golf game, because he is a very, very excellent golf player. So hold on to your wallet when you get on the golf course with him. But he's been wonderful. And behind the scenes, his organization for the Bulls and the organization is just superb.
Well, he better be a good golfer, because he's playing with a lot of money against Jordan, and I think he won quite a bit, because Jordan sometimes just loved to play golf and loved to. I mean, it would be a putt, a shot, a round, the front 9, back 9, or whatever. Your thoughts right now as a coach?
Hold up. One quick thought. Now I know why Steve got to retire early.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I think he retired early with the Michael Jordan Foundation behind. Coach, as someone that Paul brought up how the tournament was shut down, unfortunately for so many, but as a coach, how do you see right now? I mean, everyone's been on hold now for over a couple of months, and starting to see some of the grass grow, the percolate, kind of simmering, that things are coming back. How difficult do you think it is right now for coaches?
I think at the beginning it was wonderful for coaches and workers, and that from the standpoint we got a break. And for the first couple of weeks, it was very enjoyable for coaches to spend the quality time with their family and friends. So now, as it's gone longer in that, now I think we're all eager to get back to work, to get back and get our teams together and try to blend them together. So I see a glimmer of hope, like you all do, for the future. I mean, baseball's trying to get back. Hopefully, if football can find an avenue, and of course, if the virus can not get the second round like some predict, if we can keep it under control, I'm hoping that basketball can get back to pretty much normality.
Yeah, it seems as if we're getting closer, as long as you mentioned that second wave that some people feel like might be coming. It will be interesting to see. Man, I tell you what.
And the great thing, and a quick thought, the great thing is it's been wonderful because as a coach, we love bringing these different personalities and different people in, and then we try to bring them together into an effective unit that can be successful when they play on the field. And what has been great for me to see is all these first responders. I mean, from the truck drivers to the nurses to the doctors to the business people to our service people, just helping one another. And that's been just what coaching is about, helping and encourage one another. And just really proud of what America has done as we band together during this difficult time.
No question about it. We could talk with you forever, and I know you would let us. We appreciate you. Good luck with the tournament. Thank you for allowing Waco, Texas, eventually to get to know Scott Drew and what he's meant to the men's basketball program, and also what Bryce and the rest of the family and your entire family has meant. We appreciate you, Coach. Thank you so much for jumping on with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do for Central Texas.
That's Homer Drew, the Hall of Famer. We could, and if there's a lot of Craig brought up about what he saw in Scott early, and he got into that, but just we could go into how when he absolutely could see Scott every game, every year, every moment getting better as a coach.
I told you right after I put him on hold to get to the segment that Scott Drew is an apple that fell directly next to the tree.
Yeah, it's easy to see where his
it's
easy to see where his personality came from. And I don't know if I knew that he was originally going to be headed to law school before becoming a basketball coach, or just decided to become a basketball coach. That was cool.
He wears a suit well.
I mean, I'll tell you this: if Scott Drew was your lawyer and you went in and like, hey, listen, I gotta sue my old boss. We got great. This is gonna be great. We got tons of evidence. Tons of evidence.
Yeah.
I really like what we're going for here.
No doubt.
But I did it. No. All right, man, that was fun. What an hour. Appreciate that. Craig, you have a quick note coming up. We have John Machota, but I know we're a little bit behind. We have been really from the beginning, but the great stuff that we've had today for you, the audience. We hope you love it. We hope you enjoyed it. If you do, let us know. The University of Texas semester, Brian Davis from the Statesman put that out.
Yeah, I sent that to you. Let's see here.
I got it. They're gonna start August 26th.
Okay, yeah.
And they're gonna go to Thanksgiving and then shut it down.
Yeah, they're going to start fall semester August 26th. They'll end before Thanksgiving. So this is the second school, and I would imagine there have probably been others that have already announced something similar. But as far as major universities that I've seen reported to have made this decision, Notre Dame was yesterday and Texas today. Fall semester starting August 26th, ends before Thanksgiving. By doing this, students go home for the entire month of December and stay rather than go home, come back, go home again.
Yeah.
Because you leave for Thanksgiving for a week, and then you come back for your exams, and then you leave again 2 weeks later, and then you're back a month later. So they're just basically trying to eliminate that return period between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and just instead having students at home that entire time.
I actually think that's a fantastic idea for the entire future.
Yeah, so that's what UT is going to do. So they're officially coming back on August the 26th, and Notre Dame is somewhere in that same vicinity as well.
I think that's what they'll probably look seriously at doing. And now under these, but I didn't. It was not bad. You got a break, and then you came back just for finals, and then you had the longer break until middle of January. And, of course, everybody starts a little bit differently based on the conditions, the weather, and much more. When we come back, we're not done. The 5 o'clock hour, Alden Smith has been, reinstated by the commissioner. What does John Machota have to say? With theathletic.com, this is Sikkim 365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace. My. Right now, if you're smart and you love live crawfish, if you love a crawfish boil, Paul Catalina, in fact, showed me where he lives this massive equipment that his father used to have, boilers, broilers, whatever, but could have a crawfish boil forever with what we saw.
It's clean now.
If it is clean now, you can get live crawfish in 30-pound bags by calling Waco Custom Marketplace. Go online, wacocustommarketplace.com. Order your 30-pound bags of beautiful, delicious crawfish. Live crawfish, 30-pound bags. I think it's like $3 a pound. That might go up or down a little bit. I don't know. They're open Monday through Friday. Drive-through open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you have an hour if you want to go by and get something you need, whether it's from the bakery, kolaches, cakes, cookies, whatever, bread, fresh baked bread, or it's from the butcher shop, meat, beef, poultry, of course, and also pork and seafood. It's Waco Custom Marketplace. Order live crawfish before Thursday and get it Friday and have it for the weekend at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Hi, this is Jeremy Mullins, head football coach at Toller High School, and you're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like these, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illness and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please, remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe. Together, we'll get through this.
The biggest, toughest, hardest-working heavy-duty trucks are on sale at Allen Samuels. Now, get employee pricing for all on new Ram heavy duties and no payments for 90 days. These unprecedented incentives won't last long. HDs for farm and ranch, for business and all commercial operations. Ram Heavy Duties, the Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Drive forward with Ram. From your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic.
Steph, they needed it. Here is Pollard all the way in for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line, the Willis Law Firm chat room on Sikkim365.com. 254-339-1122 is the text. We'd love to hear from you. Joe, by the way, Paul said, hey, stop knocking the food in Utah. Obviously, you've never been to Crown Burger on your trips to Salt Lake. So next time you go.
Just went to one. I'd love to go there.
We're now joined by John Machota, The Athletic, covers the Cowboys with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. So, John, I didn't think there was any doubt because it seems like things are a little bit loose. Not, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but when it comes to obviously Randy Gregory and the possibility he comes back and can play, and then Aldon Smith had a few more things to deal with. But was that news the Cowboys expected as early as now?
I don't know if they expected it as early as now, but they felt, from the people I talked to, they felt more confident about Aldon Smith than Randy Gregory in terms of who was going to be reinstated first. It seemed like there was some good momentum going there with Aldon Smith. And so because of that, I'm sure they're not completely surprised by it, but I wouldn't say that they expected that, Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, and others woke up this morning thinking that they'd have Aldon back. But I just like I said, from people I've talked to, they felt pretty good, though, about the possibility of having him ready by training camp and available. And that appears to be the case, obviously, though he hasn't played football since 2015. And so not many people that, like, if any, that I can think of that have really taken that long of a layoff from playing a professional sport and then come back and just kind of hit the ground running. So, I'm sure there's a lot of Cowboys fans that are kind of excited because of the fact that, he fills a position that's one of their biggest needs along the defensive line. But I don't know. You just really don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Why him before Randy Gregory? Because he had and at least we don't really know as much about Randy Gregory as I think we may like to think we do, but Aldon Smith had a litany of issues. This wasn't just substance abuse. This was, assault and all these other things.
I think it's one of the biggest reasons is because, like we've seen over the years, with Roger Goodell, like, every case isn't looked at isn't treated the exact same way. It's not like, oh, this guy did this, that, well, here, what does the rule book say? Okay, that's 3-game suspension. Okay, this guy did this, second offense. Okay, this is going to be 6 games. Oh, he did it again. Okay, season. Like, it's kind of all over the place. Like, it's a case-by-case basis. And so because of that, I think maybe it's because Aldon Smith had been applying for reinstatement earlier. And I think it takes more than just a guy going to the commissioner and sitting down and saying, hey, I've changed. I think there's got to be a lot of documentation. You have to have a lot of people speak on your behalf. Aldon Smith's been working out with Jay Glazer. Maybe that helped the process along. Obviously, Jay knows a lot of people in the NFL. And I don't know. It's just that's the stuff I'd been hearing. And so I don't know if it's any more positive because of, anything Aldon Smith did more, or just the fact that maybe Randy hasn't, put forth the same effort to, get reinstated. I know that that's still the goal, but maybe he hasn't been going after it as hard as Aldon had been. And so, when I saw the Cowboys had signed him there, a few months ago, you kind of felt like, why would they do this unless they kind of had some information? Hey, maybe we can get this guy on our roster, and it makes sense. And so in January, Mike McCarthy, after he got the Cowboys job, he went out to California and he met with Aldon, and they hit it off. And, Jim Tomsula, the Cowboys' new defensive line coach, was with Aldon in San Francisco. And, this is a guy that, you go back to 2013, 2014, it's one of the best pass rushers in the league. And so, coaches are, if they got a chance to get an elite talent like that back on the field, they're going to do whatever they can. I just keep thinking back to 2015, man, how much life was different covering this team in 2015. Like, that was Tony Romo and Des Bryant were going to be like the quarterback wide receiver combo for the foreseeable future, and just how fast things changed since then. To think that a guy hasn't been on the field since 2015, that's such a long time ago.
John, I apologize for having to bring up Dak Prescott, but I did see, where Chris Sims had made some comments on the Fan in Dallas and was talking about some numbers that he had heard about Dak's contract in the 5th year and all of that. I guess just for the people that want to know but not get caught up in all of the drama and the silliness that goes on social media surrounding Dak, is there anything of substance to know as far as this week goes that's new or informative? And did those Chris Sims comments, I guess, come as any surprise to anybody who's been following the story?
No, not at all. There's definitely things that I see where I'll laugh at sometimes. Like, that seems absurd. Actually, I don't think that the numbers are that far off. That seems like a reasonable it seems like a reasonable figure. At $35 million, that's roughly in the neighborhood of, where these top quarterbacks are being paid. And so, yeah, you factor that out over 5 years, and that he would want more for that 5th year, because by that 5th year, $35 million is probably going to be, let me project that here. I'd say 5 years from now, $35 million will be, I think there'll be 10 quarterbacks that are making more than that. And that might even be lowballing. It might be more than that.
I agree. Yeah.
It just changes so much. So I could see why he would want that. So no, I totally, that makes sense. I will say though, I don't know that means that a deal's getting done anytime soon. Like I still point to that July 15th deadline. And really the other thing that to me, even with that and today's been a pretty busy Cowboys day because we got Alden Smith, we had a conference call with Zach Martin. But to me, really the most interesting Cowboys piece of news that came out was earlier this morning when that Forbes magazine article came out that broke down, the kind of money that's involved. And I'm going to get back to Dak because this all ties in together. But basically the money that's involved that the Cowboys could be losing out on if they don't have home games with fans in the stands. Like the Cowboys, it's ridiculous how much more money the Cowboys in 2018 made $950 million. That was their total revenue. And $620 million of that came from their stadium revenue. It's so much higher than everybody else. Like there's nobody that will be, taking a bigger hit than the Cowboys if there aren't fans in the stands. And so I'm just looking at that from a business standpoint. If they're factoring that in, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and that, I just find it hard to believe that they're about to make somebody right now the highest paid player in NFL history. It just doesn't seem to match up. So while those numbers, I can see that being the most recent offer being in that ballpark and both sides going back and forth, because of COVID-19, I don't know. I just don't see a lot of momentum on any big deals getting done right now, really in any sport.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. I've been focused more about the revenue concerns and budgets that are changing in college athletics because the tournament was canceled, and then of course college football dealing with what they're also dealing with. But you just feel like pro leagues have all the money in the world, but no, they got bills to pay too, and they have revenue that's gone right now. And golly, imagine that the highest paid quarterback within the next 2 or 3 years will be about what is like the top, not even the top 10 or 15. Yeah. Good gosh.
Yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes is one day going to get 50, don't you, John?
Yeah, no, he's definitely the one that I think of. I mean, the two that really stand out to me are Mahomes and Lamar Jackson because of where they're at right now. It just those look like those guys are going to be the future of this league. Now, obviously, a lot of things can change, but no, at some point, Patrick Mahomes, that's the thing. Like Dak probably, there's a part of him that's probably willing to risk this a little bit and be like, hey, I'll play under this franchise tag for a year. And in hopes that, hey, maybe when, everything gets back to normal and we start having fans in the stands and, people, teams start making revenue like they used to before. And there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I can see him sitting there being like, man, I'm fine waiting until Mahomes gets that deal because I'd like to get something in the neighborhood of what he's going to get because that's the deal that, you can give Mahomes, write him a check for anything. I mean, that's within reason. I mean, 40, 45, 50. I mean, that's the type of level that you don't want. This guy just brought a Super Bowl to Kansas City. Like they're not going to let him ever out of the building. So, and he's young. So yeah, that's the guy to look at. So even whatever Dak makes. Well, heck, if you give Dak 35, let's say $40 million a year, well, Patrick Mahomes ain't taking that. Like if he's the next guy to sign, he's going to get a lot more than that. He's like, I got a Super Bowl ring. So he would be the next one. But if you told me a Dak deal gets done in the next whatever few months, it's going to put him in a point where he's going to be one of the highest paid players in the league.
John, you mentioned Zach Martin speaking with the media. What was of interest? I know you had a couple tweets out there about some things that he said, but what were the takeaways for you?
Yeah, the whole thing is that they're doing all these type of WebEx, conference call type meetings, things like that, online. But there's only so much you can do, like he's saying, so you can implement a lot of the new language, and him as a veteran player, the new language that Mike McCarthy's bringing in on offense. It's obviously they're not doing some wholesale change in offense, or they wouldn't have brought back Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier. But the language is going to change, and Mike McCarthy has said that since day one. And so that's one of the big things, getting the new terminology down, so that when they do get back out on the field, they aren't going to be bogged down by oh wait, what is this call again? You're going to know that stuff, and then get back into the physical side. And really, to me, I thought one of the more interesting things he said was that he had to buy more weight equipment for his home, because he needs to be able to stay in the same routine that he's always been in during this time of year when he would be normally at the Cowboys weight facility that, has literally everything that you could possibly want. And so he had to buy some more free weights. He had to buy some more, different machines to, do cardio and things like that. And so, because what he was really telling all of us is that, hey, I don't know any more than you guys do. They could call us next week and say, hey, we can come back into the facility. He's not expecting that to happen, but they could. And if they do, he has to be ready. And so because of that, guys like him, the veteran, leader type guys like that, as you would expect, they're trying to do whatever they can that like keep that same routine that they would have, and they've had obviously for a guy like that played at an elite level for a long period of time. But really, that was it. Like nothing really new about Dak or anything along those lines. He didn't have any insight on any of that. It was really just about the meetings, kind of how he's been able to stay busy, and if he had any insight on when football was going to get back, and he really had no idea. It was asked point blank, like, for sure if they're going to have football in the fall, and he's like, I don't know any more than you guys do. Like, I don't know. Like, we're planning on it. We're preparing like that, but like he had no new information that would make you think one way or the other. But again, it goes back to that story I saw this morning from Forbes when I saw that how much money stadium revenue that Jerry Jones is making. I just made me think like he's going to try everything he possibly can to make sure the Dallas Cowboys are playing football this fall.
Anything else, guys? Nope. John, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Good stuff with Zach Martin, obviously with Alden Smith, and then whatever else in between. He's always right there with us. John Machota, The Athletic, covers the Cowboys with us on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock on Sikkim 365 Radio. When we come back, we're going to update you on a couple of stories from earlier today, some of the simmering of some leagues, whatever. The high school football note locally that we had at 3, and more of what we've seen from colleges on many things, whatever can be done soon. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. You may feel lethargic, you might just not feel well, and there's a lot of reasons what that might be. One, you just might be not feeling well because you just don't feel good. It might be your diet, it might be your lack of or exercise, it might be because you just don't feel well. Sometimes it depends on how old you are. As a man, it could be your testosterone level. That could also not be the right level. Could be lower than it needs to be. How do you find out? Dr. Kent Petty, PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com, and Old Hewitt Road in Woodway off 84, can help you by getting you a blood test, discounted blood work at a lab, look at your testosterone level, and then realize, oh, it's fine, so maybe there's something else. Or your testosterone level's too low, really low, maybe just a tad low. He can put you in a program to increase your testosterone level so you can be the high-performance man you want to be. Again, a lot of how you feel, sleep, exercise, and what you eat. But it also could be your testosterone level. Same thing with your sex drive and stamina. PettyClinicLowT.com, Dr. Kent Petty, PettyClinicLowT.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at IdealMRI.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, a lot of things to update you on. There's also a virtual presentation a week from tomorrow, May the 28th. It's going to be at night, and it is a football preview that will include Baylor's head football coach, Dave Aranda. Now, one of the guys that's part of the PR of this, O'Malley, is going to be on the show with us on Friday. By the way, tomorrow, Chuck Reedy, former Baylor head coach, will join us. He's the one that told me that when he was on Coach Taft's staff, I think that's when Chuck was a graduate assistant. I mean, when Larry Fedora was a graduate assistant. We'll hear from Chuck Reedy tomorrow. I believe he's scheduled to be at 3:30. We'll get into this coaching virtual presentation in a minute. Let's go over some of the headlines that we started the show with. We mentioned Aldon Smith has apparently been reinstated by Commissioner Roger Goodell after a conference or teleconference with him. We had the story that Tyler Webb is transferring, well, based on, of course, the transfer paperwork going through from Midway to Connolly. That's a story in local high school football. Now let's go down the list of all the things that are also either mentioning, opening up, or some things that are changing.
Well, I think we need to clarify who Tyler Webb is for people who don't follow high school football closely. He's a quarterback who was at Bosqueville, then went to Midway last year, played a little bit. Jared Moore was really the more full-time starter, but Webb did see time. But now, he's heading to another high school, and he'll be playing for the Connolly Cadets. So just for those that don't follow the sport that closely, that's who we're referring to there. There's, I guess, you've got Ohio State's president talking about the fact that they're looking at around sub 30,000 fans, potentially, if fans are to be allowed in stadiums for football games this year. He said it would probably be a number drop of below 30,000 for a stadium that holds typically 100 plus, but 22,000 certainly a much better number than 0, which is what we were looking dead in the eyes at about a month ago with the way everything felt. So that was obviously some encouraging news as well. And I think just the biggest news today, as Texas has also announced its semester schedule and what that's going to look like. They're going to finish their semester like Notre Dame announced yesterday, prior to Thanksgiving, so there won't be a break for Thanksgiving, then a return for exams, and then a break for Christmas. It's just going to be semester wraps before Thanksgiving, and they don't return until the second semester in January. So that's now Notre Dame and Texas who have announced that. But I guess the biggest piece of news today, as I scroll back through my tweets, at Craig Smoke, by the way, was from Pete Thamel earlier, who reported that the NCAA D1 Council has voted to approve voluntary athletic activities in football, men's and women's basketball starting on June 1st and lasting through the entire month of June. And this is news because it's students coming back to campus. It's student-athletes coming back to campus, although it will be voluntary workouts. The other sports will be acted on at a later date. And the moratorium that had been in place was through May 31st, so now we're not going to see an extension of that. That's the big news. Instead, when that May 31st moratorium lapses, we will see the return of sorts of football, men's and women's basketball players to schools.
Here's a neat note. Thank you, Craig. Dakia Cohen, remember her?
Yep.
Baylor? She just put up on her Twitter feed, just happened, thankful for the MVP at the Eurobasket.com All-Turkish TKBL Awards. Player of the Year, Dakia Cohen.
Huh.
Merson, I don't know the teams that are on here, but she also was Forward of the Year. She was kind of a wing forward guard slash. She had was it a big game she had against UT down in Austin one year and a couple years ago or so? Maybe the year they lost at home to Texas.
She had a big game one time when Lauren Cox was out.
Yeah, import player of the year. Yeah. She very, very could mix it up, no question about it. So that's a neat note about the former Baylor guard.
Or somebody was out. I don't know if this, but someone was out, and Dakia Cohen came in and lit it up.
So that's just popped up as well.
Paul, did you have something on what I was discussing with the colleges? I thought you were going to interject.
I do. I mentioned it earlier, but I think that's something. There's a lot of things going to be permanent out of this, and academic calendars will change. I don't know what it's hard. It'll be harder to do it at the elementary, middle, high school level because that's really ingrained. But at the college level, get rid of a fall break. Have your finals before Thanksgiving. Sure, they're already, if you think about summer semesters, they're already, cramped down anyway, so they know how to do it. So you can take out some superfluous days and move things along and get done by Thanksgiving and then not come back. I think I would like that if I was a university.
You cannot.
I'd love 6 weeks in a row off. That'd be fantastic between semesters.
You cannot use superfluous you cannot have superfluous days eliminated if you're a student and can't spell it.
Yeah, that's it.
That should be a rule.
Now, there's one thing, and we've even heard coaches say this, that they now think that this is going to change even how they do what they do, because we've learned now that there are things you can do that doesn't have to be so much so-called hands-on. You could still get things done.
You don't have to sleep under the desk at night, because you had to be at the office to have meetings with your coordinators and your position coaches or with your position groups. You can just instead go home at 5 o'clock, Zoom at 7 with your wide receiver group or your, offensive coaches, wrap it up whenever you wrap it up, 8:30, 9 o'clock, whatever, and you're at home. And you're not at the office until 2:30 in the morning and, maybe go home for a couple hours and then you're back at the office at 6 a.m. Like these crazy schedules we always heard about. We've realized it's entirely unnecessary. There's no reason to have to operate that way anymore.
Well, and there was probably no reason to really do it in the first place.
It's just all we knew.
It's just all people knew. It's just one of those things. And look, there are some coaches, John Gruden famously, when he won the Super Bowl, was showing up at work at 3 o'clock in the morning for the Buccaneers and watching film. And, and that was probably at a time where it was probably harder to have even with all the money you make, the technology at your house that you would have available today. And that was just the early 2000s. But, I even thought about what are you missing out on in your life, or what are you not doing that's eventually going to, most of those coaches, I think, that do that though, they're the ones that are 24 hours a day, eventually they're going to run out of steam, and while it might work in the short term, in the long term, you got to be a human being a little bit.
Well, there's only so much you can eventually work on before you just start messing up the things that you actually probably corrected in the right way.
Did you ever study too much for a test?
Right. Yeah.
Where you get to the test and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, wait.
You know so much that now it's confusing because you can't remember it properly. Yeah, but I think that's just one of 1,000 areas of everyday life that we're going to see changed for the better. I think, many workplaces are going to review kind of how they're doing things. I know my sister, for example, and this is not going to remain this way, but for right now, at least, as they started to welcome people back to offices, she's on a stunted calendar of, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. She's at the office Tuesday, Thursday, she's working from home. And then the girl who's, I guess, on par with her is in the office on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, she's working from home. So I think we're going to see stuff like that. I think we're going to see sort of stunted schedules and maybe thinner offices as far as the number of people that are in there at all times, rather than just the entire office being in-house 5 Monday through Friday. So, that remains to be seen, but it certainly feels like we're heading in the direction of things like that starting to get shaken up a little bit. Oh, by the way, Dakia Cohen, I looked it up, 24 points, her career high in scoring at number 6 Texas. Her senior year.
So remember yesterday in a story that I purposely tried to avoid, my alma mater, which has had this really great run in men's basketball. Last year, and Kyle Keller's a great friend. He is a great friend of mine. I'm not trying to be like, he's a really good friend. Craig knows him when he was at Tyler Junior College, and I've stayed up in touch with him forever. But this is sickening, and I heard this from Colby Carthel, the head football coach, told me when he took over at SFA, and we had him on the week before they played Baylor last year, that when he took over,
had them on after the win over Duke, right?
We had Kyle Keller on, but Colby,
Oh, you're talking about Colby Carthel.
Colby Carthel, the football coach who took over, he was at A&M Commerce, and he told me this, and I could never fathom exactly what he was trying to say, but he told me that the athletic department, and it wasn't so, I guess it would be under compliance, but the athletic department, the academic dumpster fire, like it was sickening. In fact, when they got on the bus from Nacogdoches, the night before they were going to come to Waco to play Baylor, that he had like some players that he had to kind of get that you have to get off the bus. You can't go to this trip. You can't, because about that time a year ago, it's been August, whenever that was, that they found out that there were numerous players that were academically ineligible. And it goes back to where he's been trying to fight this. They had times when they had a lot of players that couldn't play. Imagine he's about to do that. He actually, remember how much he discussed how he and Matt Rule shared ideas? Well, because Matt Rule, at one point, remember, Baylor had like 50-something players on scholarship for many things. But this is unbelievable. My alma mater, which I'm so proud of, I wouldn't be in the business without him. But I got to read this.
I got it in front of me too. If you
the men's basketball, notes. This is gonna. You remember who's the coach that was so successful there? He's at Illinois now. He went to Oklahoma State.
Underwood.
Stephen F. Austin's men's basketball team had the lowest score of any team in Division I, 810. Football, one of 6 teams that fell under 900. The school's baseball team under 930. The most severe of the sanctions for improper certification, 3 years of probation, public reprimand, a fine of $5,000, plus a 1% of the total budget of men's and basketball, whatever. Screw that. I don't like forfeiting games. I think that's just stupid and also like vacating. But Stephen F. Austin agreed to return 50% of his financial share from the participation in the 2016 NCAA tournament. If you'll recall, that might be the one that they almost beat Notre Dame. That may have been the next year or two.
Well,
they forfeit 200.
Hold on, because I think that alone is a pretty big deal. Rather than just kind of zipping through it here, 50% of its financial share from the NCAA tournament. SFA is not in the tournament every year. They started to make it regular. So they probably made, in that year just appearing, more money for their basketball program than in like 3 years prior to that combined.
Maybe
and now and maybe 10 years prior to that combined. So they had that money, and now they're having to get 50% of it back. I would imagine some of it's already been spent, and now you're having to.
Well, 2016,
and they don't have a bucket load of money. This isn't like Baylor not getting money from the Big 12 for 4 years.
Right, they still have a lot.
They never had that money.
Right.
They were dependent on it, or they at least expected it. This is money you had, like you were given $100,000 or $3 million, and you probably have used it on facilities or whatever, bonuses, and now you're going to have to return it. And my alma mater doesn't have that kind of money.
No, and these violations stem largely from the certification of transfer students, of which SFA has a massive amount of when it comes to athletes, because they're one of the schools that
those Southland schools.
Yeah, the Southland schools. If you're SFA, Stephen F. Austin, I mean, where
Sam Houston,
Sam Houston, all those schools. When a guy doesn't make it at LSU, but you can.
Well, who was the defensive lineman from Baylor that went to?
Which one of them?
Willie Jefferson did, right?
Well, he was one. He was the big, tall defensive lineman.
It's the very raw,
the kid
tall
from Marshall.
defensive end. I forget his name.
But so SFA, forfeiting 289 victories in 4 sports where ineligible student athletes participated, 117 wins in men's basketball from 14 to 19, 112 wins in baseball from 15 to 19, 29 wins in football, which they might not even have had 29 wins. And then also even softball. This makes me sick to my stomach. Colby Carthel told me this, that it was an absolute dumpster fire. They also now forfeit 3 conference championship in men's basketball, the first round victory in the NCAA tournament, which is stupid because you can't give the other team the win. They remove banners, which is like, you remember USC can't even say Reggie Bush's name in their book. They cannot hang the banners in the Coliseum. Must reduce its scholarships for football for the next 2 years, cut baseball scholarships, and men's basketball loses a scholarship in the next 2 years. And also, they do get the postseason ban men's basketball, not this year, but next. Football the next year or two. You have something else you want to put in there? This is sickening. God almighty. I was told it was a wreck. And I never realized, how do you let this happen?
You just have people at the top who are supposed to be doing the checks and balances that aren't doing it. I think I don't want to bring up bad stuff, but we saw what happened at Baylor. A lot of people let things fall through the cracks. Now they've gone about over the last 4 or 5 years correcting all of those things and putting people in place that know what they're supposed to be doing, or at least care enough to do what they're supposed to be doing. So they had to kind of root that out, on a case-by-case basis, I guess, and kind of just completely redo the whole thing in many ways. And it took Baylor a long time to get to that point to where they're now where they are and are feeling very good about the people they have in leadership positions. But it sounds to me like that's what it is. It sounds like terrible leadership. It sounds like people who were in positions of power probably benefiting from that power, picking up really good paychecks every couple of weeks and having great benefits and all of that. But then bottom line, we're not doing their actual jobs, because how you can allow so many different instances to build up to where you're having to vacate over 100 wins in basketball, an NCAA tournament win, which you may never get again. I mean, really, honestly, you might not ever do that again. At least in the next 10 years, it's not a guarantee by any stretch that will happen again. So one of your biggest victories in school history, you get rid of that. 3 conference titles, because those just grow on trees. And that's just basketball. That's just basketball. That's not the 3 other sports that were also mentioned.
Which has been their beacon. Which
has been the only reason anybody talks about SFA the last 5 years.
Their football program has been god-awful.
And they've been average, and they talk about we're going to recruit East Texas to do all that. They've been doing that for 20 years. I've heard it, seen it, all that. So, eventually they'll be good, but basketball has been their bread and butter. So, I mean, this is not the coaches. This is not the players themselves. This is the administration and those people who are supposed to be monitoring transfers and transcripts and things like that just simply, it appears, did not do their job and have now not done their job to the extent that it added up and led to just a complete sports program-wide spanking, basically, by the NCAA. So, yeah, a very bad day in Nacogdoches, Texas, for sure.
I did reach out to Kyle, and he can't probably say anything, and neither can Coach Carthel. But, when Colby Carthel told me that back in whenever it was in August of what that they had to figure out, that he was he was taking players off the bus, like even a punter or whatever, to go play a team, a Division I school on the road, whether it would have been Baylor or anybody else. And I was like, okay, well, maybe there's, a handful of guys. This is program-wide. Shame on my alma mater.
I think the most disappointing part, if you're an SFA fan, is it would be one thing if you got popped because you offered to, pick up the car payments for some stud quarterback who's maybe not going to have the grades to get into LSU, like you were talking about, right? But this isn't because of that. This isn't because you were just trying to cheat this was not doing the bottom line basic.
This is
stuff.
Just what they in this. There's so many stories like this when it comes to academic failures. It's the athletic department decides, well, this guy will take care of it. We need to run through the official channels. So basically, SFA's old athletic director decided, we'll just let this dude take care of it. And then he didn't do his job.
Well, whoever it was.
I mean, but 2 people decide not to do their job. And then this guy, they put one person.
God.
Because they don't have, they essentially weren't running transfer. Like, this guy had to he would get the transcripts, and he would just go, okay, yeah, that guy's here, and then he wouldn't run it through the official channels. And then
looks like, according to KLTV in East Texas, let's see here. So there was 82 student athletes since 2013 that competed when they should have been ruled ineligible. 82 times they missed this with certain players. SFA AD Ryan Ivey first reported last spring, but it says the fines equal up to over $94,000. So that's what it looks like is going to be coming out. It's not too bad, actually, versus what I thought it might be. But still, for SFA, that's a good chunk of change.
I would think that the NCAA tournament victory, because that, again, the conference also gets a share of that. But you do, too, as you continue to progress. But it's embarrassing.
Well, good luck to Ryan Ivey, because
Ryan Ivey, Kyle Keller, Colby Carthel, everybody else. I mean, SFA was starting to show. I think Colby Carthel would have been able to turn it around. I'm going to call him. I'll get Kyle Keller, and Kyle and I can have a conversation, but he may not be able to say anything. But this is about as inept as you could possibly be. Yeah, you have scandals where you have coaches and players, and you have things legal or things criminal, and that's horrible. And then you have just flat out cash cheating, and that's horrible. But this is just basic, take care of your freaking paperwork. Mm-hmm. As someone in the athletic department, somebody in compliance, somebody in the counselor's office, your student, this is awful.
And that's what I was saying, and we got to go here, but I would much rather get popped for paying the 5-star quarterback.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Get popped
for doing paperwork
than 80-plus student athletes from 4 sports vacating over 150 victories and multiple conference championships and NCAA tournament victory. And I would much rather just try to pay the quarterback some money on the side and get popped for that than this.
TJ, we'll come back with your text in the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Speaking of Riverbend Liquor and Wine, they have their easy-to-access drive-through open and convenient and clean in-store location, corner of North 19th and Lakeshore in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beers in Waco. They have a great, gigantic walk-in fridge. You can go in and get what you want. Man, it's fantastic. Love going in there. Great stuff in stock, including Balcones Whiskey, Single Malt, Pot Still, Baby Blue, French Oak, Rye, and Brimstone. And Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family owned and operated, a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Live crawfish is back. The 30-pound bags of live crawfish, as delicious as you could imagine, back at Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. $3 a pound, 30-pound live crawfish bags are available. You order by Thursday at noon. You can pick up your customized order anytime on Friday afternoon until 6 p.m. And the drive-thru now open at Waco Custom Marketplace Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can still order what you want from their butcher shop, including beef and poultry, seafood, and also pork. And, of course, their bakery. You can order from their bakery. You can go online, WacoCustomMarketplace.com, or go by the drive-thru. Waco Custom Marketplace, live crawfish available Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum Dade Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Log on to the Willis Law Firm chat room on Sikkim365.com.
.548 Sikkim 365 Radio. So when we mentioned Stephen F. Austin's men's basketball program has their postseason band delayed a year. Here's why. One, they kind of got screwed in a little bit. You know, of course, Mother COVID. There's nothing that, you could do about that. So there was no tournament, and they had a really good team. It really might have been like one of those Cinderella teams that goes into the second weekend. So because of that, the NCAA, I'm not saying that this is what they said, but the NCAA said you kind of got screwed this year because of something you couldn't, it's out of your control. It may be the first time ever that the NCAA is allowing a program to get a postseason ban delayed a year.
Wow.
Because of what might have been. And that doesn't mean, I'm not saying that's what they said, but that had to come into the discussion. This is admissions in the academic advisor's office, period.
Yeah.
Just ineptness.
Yeah, so that's what we were saying. I mean, it's not like the coaches are sitting there, checking test scores. And I mean, they do what they can through their staff and whatnot. They keep up on grades, but they can only do so much, and it is up to the academic advisors and the counselors to make sure that's all in the up and up.
If you're a coach, an assistant, the lowest rung assistant coach who's in charge of making sure that Craig Smoke's got the proper GPA, and you go to the academic advisor and he says, yeah, he's fine.
Well, I mean,
good.
I know
there's always you can dig deeper, but
here's one of the reasons why they fell below. This is interesting. Like this year, football is a 3.1, but here's how they fell below. What is it called? The APR, which is your grade point averages, right?
Your progress rate.
Yeah. Why they did was they were actually above it, but then when you go back and take the 82 student athletes who were getting whatever, and they get what they should have been getting, then obviously it's like putting a bunch of zeros and 50s that were probably 70s and 75s and 80s, and that's why they fell below it.
Can you imagine what the, feelings must have been in those offices as they discovered, like, here's number one that we got wrong, and here's number two, and then you start to realize, oh, we've got 20 student athletes who we got wrong. Oh, wait, 30, 40, 50, 60. I mean, at what point are you just like pulling your hair out and going, how in the world? 82? Is that what you said, right? 82?
82.
82 wrong, 82 students that were counted wrongly. I mean, that's just, it's one thing if it's like 3 or 4 or something, man, but 82, and as that news spreads around the athletic offices or the counselor's offices, I can only imagine what that day must have been like.
Imagine the group text.
Oh, man. 82. Yeah, that stinks for them. I mean, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for SFA a little because, both my parents went there. But I also really, really like Kyle Keller a lot, and I hate it for him because he's been on such a great run there. But
I hate to say this, but if you're Kyle Keller, he didn't tell me this. I didn't talk to him. I talked to another coach. But
if I were Kyle Keller,
you go and kick some ass this year.
I would, exactly, and then I would take some phone calls.
He might be getting that anyway because he's done an incredible job there.
Dude won at Cameron Indoor.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and he's been with some really good head coaches as an assistant as well for a very long time. So he's been around.
Sutton, Self, yeah.
Who was he with he was at A&M for a while.
The guy who
Billy Kennedy.
Billy Kennedy. He was.
But he's been around a lot.
Yeah.
He's been around a lot of places. A lot of time in Stillwater, College Station, etc. And he's no doubt going to be in the D1 level at some point sooner rather than later. I'd imagine this only just further fuels his fire to make that happen, because he knows that at the next level, that won't be as much of a concern or an issue whatsoever.
All right, so that's that. That's interesting. And football banned this year. They weren't going to make it anyway. Men's basketball, they get it to push it back, which the NCAA showed they had a little blood in their heart, a little heartbeat. And, all right. I mentioned this earlier. Hackbarth Delivery Service, Media Services, Heritage Homes, Liarchi Mobile is pleased to announce the 26th annual football preview. It's May 28th at 7 o'clock Central. It's a virtual presentation. Can you imagine Clay Helton, Mike Leach, Gus Malzahn, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Dave Aranda, among others?
So this is put on by who?
It's the 26th annual L'Arch. I don't know if it's L'Arch, Mobile. It's just, I don't know who that is actually.
It's a typical coaches
community
convention
where people with and without intellectual disabilities share life together.
Okay, cool. So it's about convention season right now, as far as, a lot of schools would be hosting their big seminars. And, we started to see the recent trend, like, what was it, last year Texas brought in Bill Belichick, right, to speak, or that was a year or two ago. And Saban was a big guest for somebody. And, Art had, before that all went down, remember he and Harbaugh were going to have a thing together. So that's how the offseason's kind of developed, to where, a big attraction for a lot of the coaches are these big coaching clinics, these seminars, things like that. That sounds like it's going to be pretty star-studded, obviously set up differently, but that's all the best names in college football from what I heard.
So that's going to go on. Again, if you want to know more, we will have one of the spokespeople for this event 4:30 Friday.
That's cool. Aranda's a part of a group like that.
Yeah.
Considering he's not coached a single game as a head coach just yet, but everybody just respects so much of what he does defensively that he's a hot ticket item for sure.
We'll work on getting either Saban or Smart, maybe Malzahn, who we had on one before, or Clay Helton or Mike Leach. I know you'd want to have Leach, but we only have 3 hours.
Helton would be my last choice.
Now here's the thing. If we're going to get Mike Leach,
Jeremy Pruitt's kicking in, you know what?
I'd like to talk to I think all those would be interesting. Helton, not so much.
Look, if we get Mike Leach, let's just block out the whole show. Let's tell our sponsors, we'll run commercials if we can.
Hour one, we're talking
the
Pirates.
Masters. It'll be like
just do one of those things. We'll have to do it. I'll create special, longer breaks, and we'll get them all in. But it's just going to be one of those things where we just got to let him go. Although he could just decide, I'm done with this.
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed him, and I know, Smokey, you've interviewed him, but it was one of my first big interviews in the business. And I called him. He goes, "Yeah, let me pull my car over here in this parking lot." And then he was like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so I was like, "Mike Leach, Texas Tech head coach, with us here on Hall of Fame Sports Talk." And then he goes, "Wait a minute. There's some kind of bird on my car." That was the first part of it. He goes, "Yeah, I'm glad you're recording. There's this weird bird on my car."
I am fascinated to see how he does in Starkville. That's going to be very, very interesting.
All right. Man, I tell you what, our sponsors.
Hold on, there's a bird in my car.
Yeah. Thanks to Ideal MRI, Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. They sponsor the app. And Joe on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line mentioned he'd been listening all day on the app. It's clear as a bell. The Willis Law Firm, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Petty Clinic Low T, Boozer's Jewelers, First National Bank of Central Texas, Waco Custom Marketplace, Camille Johnson Realtors, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, Edward Jones, and the new advisor that joined Tom Alberts, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson from out of Conroe, Cam Heathcott, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lance Donaldson, eXp Realty, Westdale Asset Management, also Stonewood Dental, McLean Group, the latest, newest sponsors, Pickup Outfitters that joined us, and also Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness joined us this week, Tyler Candle Company, and Milo all day.
Which I've been looking at their menu. I think I'm going to go get some grub probably tomorrow from Milo.
Farm to table,
yeah.
Milo. It's good stuff.
I've been planning on that, so I think I'm going to go do that tomorrow.
That goes from the cow to the chicken to Milo?
It's still got the bell around the neck.
Yeah, they don't. There's no middleman, so it's just right there. So you. I wonder if they've just got a guy who's like the executioner.
Just walks in from the back.
Like, listen, Frank, you got to go out to the farm and get us some chickens. All right.
Yeah.
I know what I have to do.
Want to say hi to Braden Embry from Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Appreciate the back and forth with you. Tremendous to hear from you as well. Anything else, guys, as we wrap it up?
Nope. No, I think we
Deontay, who skipped out. He was like AWOL. We had to go. He's truant.
Babysit, right? Is that what you had to do?
Right. My nephews, my family, they had to leave town for a little bit, so I had to make the drive.
How old are these animals?
5 and 9. So imagine.
Yeah.
How long did you babysit them?
Maybe like 6 hours.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's enough.
It was mostly video games, so it wasn't that bad. That bad.
Video games, movies, a little bit of outside time. Let them run.
Is the family still good with us after the Philip Epps segment?
Or they loved it. They loved it so much. They're tuned in and waiting for the next one.
Okay. All right. It was great to hear from Joe again on the app. He's listening all day. I know there's still a couple of gremlins going on, but it looks like we're getting closer and closer to what we need to do.
If you have any problems on the app, there's a form that you can submit and be absolutely as specific as you'd like to be.
Yeah.
As you can be, because the more specific you are, then it allows us to send it to the developers, and then they can look into that.
I want to thank everybody who commented on my Mac Roads recap. There was just more than normal. So I definitely I always notice on something that I post when somebody responds, I may not always reply, especially with the weekly regular things that I do. But there was a lot of response to Mac Roads this week, so definitely appreciate everybody. And I did make mention to somebody who was in the replies on the premium section of Sikkim365.com, but he had mentioned having it skip a little bit. I said, hey, just know we're working it out. It's brand new. There's going to be little gremlins here and there, but we're working them out, and the best way for us to be able to work on certain things here and there is for you to let us know about it. So just be patient, know that it's brand new, and that we're working based on your feedback on getting it seamless here pretty soon.
All right, so thanks to all of our guests. Let's go from the start. Jason Smith was fantastic. Andrew Mellentry, fantastic. Jason King, fantastic. Andre Dawson, Homer Drew, both fantastic. Also, John Machota, fantastic. I miss anybody?
Nope.
That
got
it?
them all.
Tomorrow we will have E. Gordon Gee, the president of West Virginia, who's always very talkative. As somebody told me one time, he's never had a microphone he didn't like.
Yeah.
But he was always very good to Baylor back during the dark days. It's
He's
just
been
about
good
the possibilities.
To us, too.
Yeah,
So.
he has been. And also tomorrow we'll have Chuck Reedy, former Baylor head football coach. All right, for Paul Catalina, Deontay Epps, for Craig Smoke, thank you guys. I'm David Smoke. Thank you for listening whenever you do, however long it might be, and good night.